Okay, it looks like about 7:00, maybe 4. I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Tuesday, May 3rd, 2016 Groveland Selectmen meeting. Can we all stand to pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so the first part of business we need to do is we need to reorganize the board for elections of the chairman and the vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Bill Dunn for chairman of the current year, chairman of the board.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
No further nominations.
Any further nominations? No, okay. Bill, you good?
I'm good.
Okay, so we're all set there. Any further discussion?
No.
And we'll vote. Start with
Oh, you want to do a roll call?
roll call, okay. McDonald,
Favor.
Watson,
Yes. Favor.
Wood,
Yes.
and O'Neill.
Aye.
Okay, all set. Thank you very much. I would like to open the meeting as the chair. I would like to welcome Bill O'Neill as our newly elected selectman, and welcome aboard, Bill.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you for another year. I'll be here anyway, hopefully.
Vice Chair.
What's that?
You're the Vice Chair.
Back it up a step.
That's all right, you can finish and then do Vice Chair.
Okay. Number one, I would like to thank the voters that came out yesterday and voted. It was a rainy day, it was a miserable day, but again, what voters came out, it was nice to get them out to vote. I'd like to thank the candidates that ran in all the positions for their good effort in the running, and we need more people like you out there to run. I'd like to thank all the volunteers that came out and helped with the races, and all the volunteers in the town hall, and all their good efforts in part of the town. I'd like everyone to know that the fire truck passed on a 20-year bond, a 20-year
Debt exclusion.
debt exclusion, and it will be bonded for a 20-year period. Now I would like to go to nomination of the vice chair. So do I have anyone that wants to nominate anyone for the vice chair?
I'll nominate Ed Watson.
Okay, do I have any other nominees for vice chair? We have one for Ed Watson.
I'd like to nominate Dan McDonald.
Okay, we have one for Dan McDonald. Anyone else? Nope. I would like to, and I'm not saying anything, I would like to turn around and kind of possibly stay with the role we're on. I think we're on a good path. I would like to stay with Ed Watson only because we were on a good path last year. I'd like to kind of stay with that. So we're going to nominate Ed. Is there any other nominees? Oh, do I get a second on that?
I think you are the second, didn't Dan?
Yep. So second,
Second.
all right. And any other discussion? And all in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay. For Ed?
I'll vote for Ed.
Okay, Ed, all set? Okay. All right, so moving on. I would say, I would go back to what I was saying. As a chair, I will work hard for the community like I have for the past year. I will continue on our last year accomplishments. The first year, we had a 5-member board, and I do believe it's really working out well. I think in the beginning, we had a little bit of smoothing out to do, but I think we're all starting to really work together well. I believe if I get elected, which I did for another year, I can complete my goals that I have started from last year. I would appreciate the opportunity to serve on this board again, and I do believe that the train is chugging, and we need to get the train rolling down the road, which I think we can do as a board. Priorities for the year as a chair, I'd like to see the land sales go into an account for a rainy day fund. I'd like to see CPA money spent on infrastructure improvements as historical, parks, playgrounds, and affordable housing. I'd like to see the veterans and elderly complex behind the fire station get moving on that as well. I would like to see the Bagnell School landscape project up and running and get it done for the opening year of school. I'd like to see the Pines project and boat ramp get completed. I would like to see the communication, work with the communication with the fire and police as a board, not only me. I would also like to see that we get an ambulance closer to our town. I'd like to also have a volunteer appreciation day for the volunteers that work so hard for the town. I would like to bring the community together through programs as our Pumpkin Fest, probably something for Christmas or whatever, but we really need to get the community involved. And I also would like to see the Center Street property that was purchased, I would like to find a use for that and make that a positive rather than a negative. And again, I thank you, board, for nominating me to be chair, and I will work hard for you this upcoming year. Moving on to our meeting tonight, is there anyone in for residents' comments? Go ahead.
Kermit Cross, 24 Elm Park. I'd like to see, I realize we had an election for road commissioner and there was a contest. I have nothing against the fellow that ran against Bobby Arakalian. But I would like to see a job description developed for that position. Bob's now elected for 3 more years. I'd like to see that get set up so that there's a definition for the people that are going to do the job. I was on 2 road study, public works study committees, one with Ed Fitzgerald and one with Jim Trujan. Not everybody here will even know who Jim is, but Eddie would. And in both cases, we approved a public works department, but the timing was not right because there wasn't money in the budget to handle it. In the last 10 years, the budget's gone from the highway. We've got a site now, we've got equipment now. The budget went from 480 10 years ago, 480,000. It's up to 702 this year, I believe. Somehow I feel we need someone qualified to do the job and not someone who wins on a popularity vote because they want the job. And I have no doubt Mr. Daley was qualified to do it. I have nothing against him. I just think we should have a set policy and also like to see it personally appointed so that you can interview the prospective candidates and so forth. There are towns all around us that have got people that in the job description, so it shouldn't be too hard to do, but that's...
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, and I think that it's important that we do start heading that way, because, as you stated, it is a very important position in town. It does have a big budget, as you stated, and also it should be the qualified person to do it. And as our government in Groveland has grown, the road has grown, the mileage has grown on the roads, et cetera, it's getting to the point where we really should have a qualified person in there. And again, I'm not saying the person that's there isn't. I agree 100%. We need to look down the rainy day road and make sure we're planning ahead, and I think we have time for the next 3 years to do that.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up now. I mean, the election's over, so you know where you're going
Yep,
for
yep.
3 years.
Yep,
And that should be time enough to get it discussed,
Right.
form a committee or whatever you want to do,
right.
and proceed with it.
Right,
I-
and during the election, I know I sat in candidates night, and I heard a lot of people, and our road commission now states that we have no money, and we all know, I mean, the people that have been here on this board, and Denise, we don't have any money. We don't have enough money in Groveland for the highway. We really should be looking for grants. We really should be out looking for federal money and state money, whatever we can get our hands on, and I think it's come to that time we need to do it. And I think this is one avenue we could get the right person that could possibly do that, so.
Well, I think Bob has tried to do that.
I'm sure he has.
I go back to when the town had a couple of trucks that
Yep.
you could barely keep running.
Right, oh, I know.
I worked on a highway department, part-time on call for snow removal and so forth.
Right.
I know what it was.
Right.
You know,
And,
you've got some quality equipment out there, you've got some quality people that know the job. I think you need a leader qualified to be able to continue
right.
down the road with all the things that are coming, with the drainage system that has to be put in, and all the rest of the infrastructure that needs to be upgraded.
Our road commissioner was before us a few weeks ago, and he stated how that they have all kinds of new policies through the state that they gotta require now in drainage things and what have you. So it's becoming more complex, and I think he's making us all well aware that it's becoming more complex.
Well,
And
it is, and there's a lot involved,
A
you know.
lot involved, and there's a lot of things we have to comply.
I took care of 170 acres over in North Andover, and I had the responsibility of parking the road and so forth, so I know some of what's involved. And as I say, I've worked with Bobby over here, so thank you for your time.
Thanks, Chairman.
Okay, do we have anyone else for public comment? All right, no one else? Okay, so moving on, we're gonna approve the warrants, and we're gonna ask Mike to approve the warrants
Do I
if he
can
would.
still do that?
Of course.
Does that get voted for that? No?
I don't wanna do it.
All right, so that's why I get to do it.
No.
That's all right. Motion to approve payroll warrant number 16-45 in the amount of $141,407.40.
Get-
I'll second that.
Okay. Seconded. Any further discussion? And all in favor?
Yep.
Okay.
Did you want to talk about it?
Well, I'm a quick study, but not that quick. I think it was 9:30 that I found the results, and less than 24 hours later, I'm
Sitting up
voting
here,
on,
yep.
yeah, on, I don't know, roughly about $500,000. So can somebody quickly explain to me what this is all about?
Go ahead, Denise. You know the numbers
Reader's
better than anybody
Digest
else.
condensed version is just
That's
another.
fine. So at every meeting over here on the table, you'll find the payroll sheets for the week, the accounts payable, and the deductions. So that's what you have to vote. You're welcome to go through any of them, look at any of them. You'll have to sign off and then take a formal vote on the amount. So you have your payroll warrant, your deduction warrant, which is our taxes and our payroll fees, and the bills warrant, which is our accounts payable invoices.
Okay,
So really, the voting is the formality. You can go through them and sign them before or after the meeting.
great.
So,
Okay.
so in all fairness to Bill, so if he had any questions, he would bring the questions up prior to the meeting.
Yeah, or you could ask at a meeting if you find something that you want to talk about. You can certainly do that too.
Okay,
Yeah, there are some large numbers that come across, and every time I see them too, I'm also like, what does this include, that kind of thing. So it's good to ask questions about it, so you know what we're paying out.
yeah, I'm a quick study, but like I said, I'm not that quick,
Well, they're just throwing numbers at you now.
pretty much.
Okay, so we had discussion, and are we ready to vote?
You did vote on
You
that.
did, I think
Okay,
we all
set.
approved it.
Okay, good. So we're gonna go to the next
Yep.
one.
Motion to approve deduction warrant number 16-43A in the amount of $24,246.46.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, I'm gonna sustain from this next one.
Motion to approve bill warrant number 16-45 in the amount of $320,714.05. You get a second?
I'll second it.
Any comment? All those in favor?
All right, thanks, Mike. All right, so moving on, we're gonna have a citizen recognition for Shiloh Ellis for his fundraising efforts on behalf of the Kettles for Bells. And Shiloh, Ed will present you a little certificate here. He'll be up to help you.
Let me read it.
Okay.
Outstanding Fundraising Award. This is presented to Shiloh Ellis for outstanding efforts in raising money for Kettle for Kids. On behalf of all residents of the town of Groveland, we, the Board of Selectmen, would like to commend you for all your hard work and dedication on behalf of raising money for homeless children. Keep up the great work. We are so proud of you. Signed, the Groveland Board of Selectmen. William Dunn, Ed Watson, Bill O'Neill, Dan McDonald, and Mike Wood.
Shiloh, do you have anything you wanna say or tell us about your foundation or a little bit about what you're doing?
So kettlebells for kids.
You got, I think, you got them there? I think you might have to just put the switch on. You get them?
Yeah, it's not coming over the PA.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
Go ahead.
okay.
So Kettlebells for Kids is a nonprofit organization to raise funds and awareness for homeless kids in America. And right now there's about 2.5 million homeless kids. So this year our goal is to raise $500,000. And the money raised this year will go to support fitness programs for homeless shelters.
Unreal. Now, how much have you raised so far?
So far, I have raised about $10,000.
10,000. And you're looking for more people in the Groveland?
Yes.
Put a big shed out, say, I need more money, Groveland residents.
Well, you were going around on opening day at the baseball park.
Yes.
Okay, so, I know, we're gonna try and see if we can get a picture with Shiloh and the board, or you wanna wait till later?
No, but may I make, do you
Sure.
wanna just read the email
Yep.
that I provided?
Go
You want
ahead.
me to read it, Ed? I think it's,
Right here.
from the founder of Kettlebells for Kids. She sent us some nice words.
Okay.
We should acknowledge that.
Rob Ellis informed us that you invited Shiloh Ellis to your meeting next week, and I just wanted to reiterate that he is a truly a generous and quite remarkable soul. We met Shiloh less than 1 year ago, and only 5 months after we formed our 501(c) to raise awareness and funds for 2.5 million homeless children in America. Shiloh and his family have been our biggest champions for getting the word out, and we could not be more grateful for his passion and commitment to helping homeless kids in Massachusetts and across the country. Kindly regards, Amy True Owens, founder, president, Kettle for Kids.
Well, I thank you on behalf of the board, I'm sure all my board members thank you.
Very good job. So this is affiliated with CrossFit?
Yes.
Excellent. Good program that is.
Can I just ask a question of you, Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
I give you a chance to give your foundation a plug. How do we get involved? Where do we donate? Where do we go?
You can donate online.
Online? And that would be at, go ahead, give us a plug.
Kettlebellsforkids.org.
Kettlebells dot
Kettlebellsforkids.org.
kids dot,
The number 4.
awesome. Thank you.
Or I think we can donate directly through your site at classy.org/Shiloh 2016.
Yes.
That will go directly to your donations, correct?
Yes.
Great.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna, you don't mind getting a picture with us, do you? I'm gonna present this to you when we get up there. All right.
I'll give you a little hand too. Great work.
This one?
Yeah. So, Charles, come over here, if you don't mind. I'm gonna shake your hand. I'm gonna hand it when you get out here. Look at the cameras.
Good job, kid.
Remember, 500,000 people watching, you know.
You ready?
Ready?
Okay, so I'm gonna present this to you, Charlotte, on behalf of the town of Groveland. This is an award for all your good effort. Thank you.
Okay, Bill, on this side.
Well-
Great.
All right. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
Shiloh.
Good job.
Thank you for bringing them in.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay, so moving down the list,
Bill, I see him sitting up here someday.
I do too, that's what I said earlier, yeah. All right, so moving down our list, we have Kristen O'Connor to present his Eagle Scout project. And Kristen, if you can come up here, or you can go to the podium, however you want to do it. Sure. Yep. Get them out. Well, thank you for coming in.
Welcome.
I appreciate it. And I know Mike was gonna take this.
Yeah, could you just explain what your program is and what the timelines are?
Certainly, I most certainly can. So, if you don't know me, my name is Christian O'Connor. I'm from Troop 87 Boy Scouts in town of Groveland, of course. And I'm here to go and present my Eagle Scout project. What I'm going to be doing here is that I'm collecting items and cash for my donation project, where I'm going to be making gift bags for kids in the Boston Children's Hospital in the cardiac unit. So I'm going to be placing a box here, hopefully with your guys' acceptance. I can place it out front in the lobby, and people can go and donate items to whenever they pass by it and notice it.
Okay. Do you want to list out a couple of the main items that you want people to donate if they can, so they can have an idea without having to go to too much work to figure out what they can bring in?
Sure, most certainly.
Well, you have a
can.
list here, but can you just knock off like 4 or 5 and?
Sure, like from the, like I said, there's 2 groupings, one for the actual kids themselves, and one for the toddler section, and because toddlers can't really play with the toys that very much, we're gonna be giving some of the gifts to the adults. That way they can settle down in the hospitals, of course. Some of the things we're gonna be giving to the kids are like action figures, dolls, puzzles, cards, window markers, something they can use in the hospital that's clean and sanitized. And for the adults, for example, it's gonna be like tissues, toothbrushes, toothpastes, stuff they can use after probably staying in the hospital for so long.
So you're gonna collect all this stuff here, and then you're gonna put bags and kind of put them all together, and then send them out to the people that are in need?
Yes, I'm gonna be making 80 bags. I'm gonna be shipping them. Well, I'm gonna be delivering them all the way to Boston Children's Hospital in Boston.
Okay. And you have a GoFundMe page.
Ah, yes, of course.
You wanna tell us what that address is, or what we look for to go onto the page under you? You know what it is?
Yes, I do somewhat.
I can look it up right now if you tell me what you think it is.
Thank you very much. The GoFundMe site is something I set up. It's an excellent site. When set up, that really goes and helps support getting funds and everything for any donation you want to set up and everything. It's a wonderful site. I set it up back like a few weeks ago, and so far I'm already like 3/4 of my way to my deadline just on that website, like having around $750 to $1,000 I need. And that's just not the actual cash itself. I've been collecting from other sources.
So would it be under your name?
Yes, it would.
And I do just want to clarify, so I had met with Christian and told him that, he could provide the box as long as the board approves it. We are not collecting cash in Town Hall. We are only collecting the items that on his wish list, that he will come in and pick up out of the box from time to time, but we are not collecting cash here for that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, it most certainly does. I'm just placing the donation box here, and people can donate items to the cause.
Yep.
All right,
Perfect.
so it's GoFundMe, and it's One Smile at a Time.
Yep, that's the name of the project.
Gotcha.
Okay,
So, for time, of course, I'm gonna be placing this box in the town hall until the end of May. I'm gonna be checking on it once every week, and I'll pick it up on the last day of May.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for coming in, and we'll put it to vote right now for you. But I was a Boy Scout when I was your age. I made it to life. I never made it to Eagle. Unfortunately, time ran away, I got older and what have you, and I wish I made it there. So I would say to you, as a fellow ex-Boy Scout to you, press forward and try to get to that Eagle, because it's really a good thing to do.
Thank you very much, and also thank you very much for having me here.
No problem. So I'm gonna ask the board if we can get a motion to accept Christian O'Connor's proposal to leave the box at Town Hall.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to accept Christian O'Connor's proposed Eagle Scout project.
Okay.
Leave a box at Town Hall.
Can I get a second?
I'll
Second.
second that.
Okay, second. Any further discussion? And we'll put it to vote. All in favor? Okay, awesome. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
How much time you got left before you, there's a time limit, age time limit?
Oh, yes.
How much time you got?
It's 7:27.
No, I mean,
For your,
no, before you gotta do your,
Oh,
yeah, you have to have it done by what age?
by age of 18,
Yep.
which is, my birthday is gonna be January 10th.
All right, so you got some time to do it.
yep, so you should have enough time to get it done.
Oh, yes, most certainly.
Okay.
Just about to wrap up the gifts, probably in early June.
Good.
Good.
Well, again, thank you for coming in, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
For having me here.
Okay, so moving on our list, we have the hazardous mitigation plan approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Gillen's gonna talk about that for you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me here. I'd like to congratulate Selectman O'Neill,
Thank you.
and I look forward to working with this board for the next year and beyond, hopefully. I was just here to ask your approval of the hazardous mitigation plan. I've been working on it for the last couple of years with Joe Cosgrove through the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission. And this is something that was established by Congress in 2000. It's an act that requires us to have a plan in place, and it's pretty involved. It's the whole Merrimack Valley area, And Groveland's is complete as part of that program, and it requires a sign-off from you folks. And this will allow us to apply for different type of funding from hazard mitigation grants, for anything from snow removal or culvert work. And I know Bob Arakalian's utilized this, and we have Denise and Bob Arakalian also worked to get funding for some of the blizzards that we've had. And without this approval, we won't be eligible for those grants. So I'm just here to ask for that approval, and if you had any further questions.
Well, no, I think it's a well worth it thing, because I know when we just got that money back from the highway, that nice check to go back into the general
Yes.
fund, it's a help.
Yes, it
After
is.
that snowy winter we had, so that, I definitely think it's a well worth cause, and I think we really should have this stuff in place, but, I'll ask for a motion on the board to accept Deputy Gillen's hazardous mitigation plan approval,
Sure, I'll make the motion.
okay? Can I get a second?
Seconded.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just got a question on it. Jeff, and Mike, up at VZ Park, the water has just eroded that driveway. Is this something that could be used for, to repair something like that?
Yes, there's a good chance it would be, especially if it's a culvert work or if it establishes, I would think, the pond.
Okay.
Some of the bigger projects, like across the street here, I know Bobby did something for the drainage,
Okay,
so that would definitely be something to be considered.
all right. I'm
Yeah.
sure Mike's gonna be in touch with you about seeking some help for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
I
And,
don't mean to put you on the spot there, Mike.
Okay.
the plan's available, I don't know, maybe we could put it on the town's website. I was thinking of putting it on the emergency management website. It was like, some parts of it's like 420 pages, so I didn't print it out tonight, but it's there for anybody to see, too, so.
Okay.
Yeah, if I may, we met last, probably a year ago, to talk about and identify some potential areas of hazard around town, just to sort of put on the scope of where we would, potentially may seek funds in the future.
That was part of the planning, exactly.
Yeah.
It's pre-planning, really, also, to establish projects like that. That's probably not one that's been considered, but it's probably one that should be, and it's not too late either, so. But they just try to be prepared for the future, so.
Okay. All right, so do we have a second on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we had discussion, and we'll put it to vote. All in favor? Okay. Thank you for coming in and
Thank you.
bringing that before us.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Do you want to sign the second page and pass that?
all right, so the next thing on the board, thank you for
Thank you.
coming in, guys. Okay,
As long as it's not chair and vice chair, yes. Anyway.
the next thing is remote participation of the boards and committees.
So while he's signing,
Okay,
Mike had asked me to put this back on the agenda. It was discussed about, I don't know, a few months ago. I had provided at the time, which I included again on your packet, a sample policy that this was the town of Tewksbury. You're not required to have a policy, but you certainly could put some parameters in place. If the Board of Selectmen adopts it, then it would work for any board or committee that wanted to enable remote participation. Some of the requirements are, the chairman has to be present, and you have to have a quorum present at the meeting in order to have a member remotely participate. And again, you could set reasons why. It could be travel, illness. It's not just, I don't feel like coming to the meeting tonight. So those are some of the things you could discuss and put if you wanted to put a formal policy together.
Yeah, I think using technology and using available resources is a good idea, especially for someone in my line of work who ends up traveling quite a bit. I was in DC this morning and back in the same day. I'm not going to be traveling as much as I did last year, but I will be traveling. I think Selectman McDonald would also benefit from this during tax season when he's trying to get back and forth from his office. It just makes sense. It's easier for some people who are taken out of town more often than not, or out of the state or out of the country for that matter. As long as you have a cell phone or an internet connection, which is pretty much anywhere, you should be able to participate in the meetings that you have been elected to participate in. So I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's an easy discussion to approve. And with my personal laptop and my work laptop, I'm able to leave one here and Skype in and vote on the business of the town.
Anyone else have anything?
Yeah, I do. I looked this up in Robert's Rules of Order, and they listed three areas. They listed disadvantages, they listed dangers, and they listed parliamentary requirements. And I just read off some of the disadvantages, and they didn't talk in favor or against it in either way. They just points to remember. Technical and equipment failures may occur. Electronic meetings are more impersonal, making it difficult to create an atmosphere of easy rapport. Difficulties may be encountered in deciding complex issues that require negotiations. Members may lack familiarity with the skills required to conduct such meetings. Greater member participation is necessary for a productive meeting. Electronic meetings present difficulties in assigning the floor, highlighted, determining the speaking order of members. Under dangers, they list that members must gauge themselves whether teleconferencing will hinder or help their organization. It's important to note, not to underestimate the merits of a face-to-face meeting. And that mentions parliamentary requirements. It says bylaws must state that the electronic meetings may be held. So is that something we'd have to go to, we don't have to go to state it in our bylaws?
No, because this wouldn't be an electronic meeting, you would just have, the open meeting law changed a few years ago to allow the remote participation piece only, not a full electronic meeting.
Says proper notice must be given, and then what you had mentioned, the chairman must be present, or designee, quorum must be present.
What's the definition of proper notice?
Didn't say.
Do we know?
I think you could establish that as part of, obviously if it's an emergency, then you would make an exception.
Well, like I was saying, it's not often that I would say, I gotta get on a plane tonight and I gotta get out of here and go to San Diego. But it does happen, so generally you would know
Right.
a week or so in advance.
Right, I was gonna say, wouldn't you know in a
Generally.
month's time in advance, hey, guys,
not a
or
month,
more,
probably a
what,
couple weeks,
3
yeah.
weeks or something?
Right, but like if
Right.
you were flying in today and got stuck in DC for weather-related
Yeah,
whatever,
right.
you could say, I'm not gonna make it, it's a last-minute emergency. I think at that point, the board could probably vote at the start of the meeting if they wanted to allow you, within, like I said, that's something you could establish. If it's within 24 hours, let them vote at a meeting to consider it an emergency or something.
There's a whole business model predicated on remote participation, WebEx, GoToMeeting, Skype. You're talking to someone whose job is to meet people in person. I understand the face-to-face and to be able to press the flesh and talk to people in person and get a feel for what's going on in the room and understand the conversation as a body language, is not just words. So I've been doing this for 25 years or so I understand the preference to be in person. I'm not saying that this is something that's going to happen every other Monday night. It may not happen at all. But in circumstances that do require myself or another board member to be away during a selectman meeting, it seems logical and rational to have this capability available, rather than just say, I won't be there and let me know what happens, or if I need to be aware of something that happens. If nothing else, just to listen in.
Okay, any further discussion on this? Go ahead, Dan.
I think it's reasonable, the technology's changing, we could give it a try. If it's a disruptive thing or it doesn't work out, we can always change gears, right?
Mhm.
I'm willing to give it a shot. I mean,
Bill's got a question too.
All right,
I think in today's day and age, it makes all the sense, and right now, you have a severe lack of volunteerism in the town. The finance board needs everybody there healthy to have a quorum. This could be a huge bonus to getting business done when people are out of town and sick, when you have such a short staff to begin with. But the technology's there. I mean, should use it.
right, okay. So we have no more further discussion on this. Ed, you have any more? You good?
No, I don't have any more.
Okay. Dan, you're good? Mike?
yeah, I
you
mean,
good?
well, to Ed's point, I mean, the preference would be,
Preference is always face to face.
I'd like to be at my son's baseball game right now, sitting in my lawn chair, you know, and I remotely would listen in and vote, but I mean.
I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be at the beach while you guys are here, but
Geographic distance is
you're gonna
about
hear the waves in the background if that
2
happens.
miles to Washington Park, so, you know, I'd be in favor of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, reasonable.
yeah, I understand. So, we've had enough discussion. Do we have a second?
We didn't have a motion.
You don't have.
Oh,
But
all
before
right,
you
get a
do that,
motion. Oh.
Shouldn't we be setting up parameters?
Okay, go ahead.
Well, we have here, town of Tewksbury's, I don't think we can just vote that we're gonna accept this. I think we need to look at parameters. They're listing here reasons for remote participation. Personal injury, personal injuries, illness, personal disability, emergency, military service, geographic distance. I think in order to accept it, we have to accept some kind of parameters, and maybe even limit to how many times in a year that a person could participate remotely.
Does anyone want to carry on with what Ed just said? Go ahead, Dan.
I think it's reasonable. I mean, we have theoretically, every other week, 26
26.
meetings a year, plus minus a few executive sessions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not minus, but plus. So, I don't know. I think it's reasonable to miss one a quarter, you know?
Or do you want to accept what
For a year or
Tewksbury has?
something like that, unless there's extenuating circumstances. I mean, what do you want to put for a limit on it, Ed?
Well,
I mean, you know, there's a parameter on just about everything.
I'll take your recommendation.
If
of
you were
one
missing
quarter.
26 out of 26, I mean, is that gonna be a headache for everybody?
I think so.
All right, so there's the extreme in one direction. All right, so reasonable would be probably more than one. Between 1 and 26 missed meetings.
I'll go along with the recommendation
Where
of
would you
one
like to
quarter.
move the dial?
Do you want to accept something similar to what Tewksbury has?
So if I may,
They
Tewksbury's
put a
is a.
limit on it, or no?
Yeah, Tewksbury's
No.
is a fairly standard policy. Most communities are very similar. There's nothing in here other than the opening and I think the last sentence that refers to Tewksbury. So if you're okay with the majority of this, I could rewrite it for the town of Groveland, and if you have any other stipulations, or if you want to remove anything, I could make those changes and provide it to you at the next
I'm just
meeting.
going to ask one question. On the geographic distance, that would cover Mike, because he would be not around town or whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
That really
Okay.
means any type of
Right.
travel.
No, I'm just saying, Okay.
So when
I-
I'm in Turkey, I'm gonna die.
I would say, if, the only input I would say is maybe do, I would say one is, I don't think is enough. I think maybe 2 to 3 meetings, 3 meetings possibly, but,
Yeah, I would say 1 a quarter is fine. I
Okay,
don't anticipate
alright,
more than that.
alright, 1 a
And if
quarter.
I can't, then I can't. It's not a big deal.
So
Right, so
may
1
I
quarter.
just clarify, you want it to say 1 a quarter, or you want 4 a year?
I'm good with 4 a year.
Does it matter to you if it's 1 a quarter, or?
For a year, you could be sick for 2 weeks. I mean,
Right.
you could be sick
Because it
for
will impact other boards and committees, how you
Yeah.
set
the
this
flu for
policy.
a month.
so we got it for 4 a year.
So 4 a year is what you want to,
Well, what are the meetings of the other boards? Are they every other week as well? Are they?
no, but I'm thinking of finance, they had a member that was traveling for several weeks, so
Okay,
it
yeah.
was several contiguous weeks that she was out,
Yeah.
and if you limit it to 1 a quarter, she wouldn't have been able to participate if she wanted to. So that's the only thing I'm thinking of.
No, I'm good with 4.
Do we really have to limit it, though, and take each, can't we just take each case as an, case-by-case
too,
basis?
Well, here's the thing.
As long as it's not, you know, it's
Well,
kind
you're
of like
taking
when you get a
advantage of
job,
it.
hey, you've got unlimited PTO, just don't abuse it.
What
Right,
if
but-
they do? Let's just
but-
say,
right.
for the sake of argument, we approve this, and you get somebody that says, hey, I'm gonna go to Florida for the winter. Right?
If we
Wish I
approve it,
could
is
do
it
that.
written in stone, or we can't amend it
Let's
later?
just hypothetically, suppose.
Why
When
don't
I'm
we just-
retired someday, I'm
Why don't we start out with 4 a year and see how that goes? I
gonna
mean,
relocate somewhere nice.
the only thing is if we didn't have a limit on it, let's just say someone was abusing it, I don't think I want to sit here publicly and say, well, he's not here, or,
He's in Florida on the beach, and he's
yeah, I
at a
wouldn't want
Board
to
of
publicly
Selectmen meeting.
trash one of my fellow selectmen.
Could happen.
I'd rather, you know what I mean?
Could happen.
Could happen.
I'd rather have them say, well, I'm at 4, I might need 5. Come to us and.
How about 6? We go to 6?
Whatever you guys want to do.
Unless there's extenuating circumstances.
I'm good
Somebody
with
can-
6.
Somebody can plead
I
their
don't think,
case.
I don't think it'll be 6, for me anyways, I don't know, I mean, tax season for you is busy, so.
I'm not, you know, I mean, I'm not,
Yeah, like, four is one, almost an average of 1 1/4. That's a 1 1/4. That should be plenty.
Well,
Dan?
5, meet you in the middle.
Dan, well, I'm thinking of you during tax time, right? You
Yeah,
get
yeah.
really busy and you trying to get back and forth, it would be easy to you for you to dial in if
If
it
I'm
was.
not focused, I make mistakes. I'll type in 10 instead of 20.
I do mine.
I'm good with 5, if you wanna go in the middle of 5.
Okay.
it's
I'm
fine.
focus. I can't multitask. No, I'm.
So he's 5, you're 5.
Like, I'll
I'm 4,
help you
Ed's
accommodate
4.
you on that. I
Bill.
mean,
That's fine.
5, okay, so 5 passes,
there you go.
okay?
Compromise.
Ed and I were at 4, 5, and 5, and 5, okay? So we're changing this to 5. Okay,
So, per person, right? So each
Yeah.
person may be,
Skyping 5 times.
Well, you have,
Have the ability for
he has to
5.
be here.
correct.
And all
So
that
whenever
stuff,
someone wants to Skype, I just don't show up and they can't
Well,
Skype.
you could, if you weren't here,
Well,
if
you're
you
not
weren't
here
here,
No, it's always the
What happens if I want to Skype
Then
and
we
I'm
gotta
not
go,
here?
then we gotta go to meeting, we gotta get everyone to go to meeting.
When I go to Florida, I want to Skype in, how can I do that?
you would have to have a designee be
Oh,
in charge
okay.
of that
All
part
right,
of the
okay.
meeting.
All right, go ahead,
So
so,
5 per person in a calendar year?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna use that anyway, so.
Why? A calendar year, everything's on a fiscal.
That's why I'm asking, I'm just
Everything we
asking.
do is on
Or just in a 12-month period?
a May to May.
Mike wants to say
Yeah,
something.
no, that's fine, May
Our
to May's fine, no, that's good,
fiscal's
good point,
July
May
to
to, May to May's fine. For me, May, that, I'm good with that.
Whatever the term is. I mean,
Yeah.
if your term
Okay,
of
so you wanna-
appointment
for
is
term.
3 years, you start July 1st.
But
Right.
appoint, right, so elected officials start May,
May.
appointed officials
Right.
start July.
It's whatever their fiscal term is, I
Count.
think.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's- it's
Fiscal
gotta
term,
match
yeah.
up.
Okay.
Mike wanted to say something on it.
Does it have to be a quorum without the person being there?
Yes,
Yes.
it does.
So that's not gonna solve Bill's problem.
So you can't have all of the board in 5 different states.
No, it's 2 bills now.
Correct.
5 different countries having a public meeting, because then how do you even watch it? How would the public be involved in that process? So it has to be a quorum locally,
That's what it says.
and the remote, you know, whoever's absent is kind of like just one. Otherwise, you know, it's not really a public meeting.
Okay,
It'd be a conference call that nobody, would just have a speaker here and nobody,
Oh, I know, but.
Nobody
the
present.
Committee has trouble because they are missing one person and you can't have a quorum without that one person and they can't have a meeting, you know.
Yes, so if I may, so it is actually, under the provisions of the regulations issued by the Attorney General that state a quorum of the public body, including the chair, or in the chair's absence, the person authorized to chair the meeting must be physically present at the meeting location as required by Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20D. So that is an Attorney General requirement of the open meeting law, that a quorum must be present in person.
okay. So, where are we at now? We got enough discussion?
So is there anything else in the policy you'd like to look at?
I think I'm good with the,
How about writing out the policy and present it at the next meeting for ratification or a vote?
Yeah, just change it. to
do we
quorum.
need to put in there, notice? Are we good with, do we need to say how much notice, how long, how quick, blah, blah, blah?
That's up to you. That's up to you.
In my situation, I should be able to give you at least a week.
All right, so, other board members have anything on how much notice?
I don't think it matters.
Okay,
Well, I think it, well, you know, I
think
don't,
it matters as
I
far
don't
as
see it on
planning.
here, but you could have some personal thing, like you have a death in the family, or you gotta go to fly somewhere or something. It's not on the list, but, I mean, if that happens, I mean, it ought to be a short notice, obviously, so.
Yeah,
Well, I
so a
think
week's
that would be an
notice.
emergency.
Reasonable notice.
so a
I mean,
week's
it's
notice
gotta be reasonable.
with emergency. If there's emergency, we
That's
can,
different.
Or just as much notice as possible.
okay, there you go.
Given the
All right, okay,
situation or circumstance.
all right. So Ed, you want to have this drawn up and we'll have it in our next meeting,
I think that's a good idea, sure.
okay? Can we get that done?
Yes, do you want to just vote on the terms you just identified?
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to make sure everybody's happy. Okay,
I don't know how long
so,
we have.
does someone want to make a motion on the terms that we just discussed.
So that would be a maximum of 5 remote participations per person per term year, and as much notice as possible, given the situation or circumstance, are the 2 things we are adding to the town of Tewksbury sample policy.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Any further discussion? And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all set. Okay, so we're moving down the list. We have discussions on the open composting of the West Newbury residents at our highway facility. I was, number one, I was surprised to see this. My only input, and I have been, I probably need to refrain from this because I'm in a butter, I guess, I've been told, or whatever, and which I will. And if someone else wants to take this on, go right ahead.
Would you like me to just explain?
Go ahead.
So, a week or 2 ago, there's nothing in your packet on this, Bill. A week or 2 ago, the Highway Road Commissioner, DPW Director, I'm not sure what his title is, from West Newbury, came over here, met with Bob, Eric, Kaleen, and myself, stated that they have an issue in West Newbury with composting. Over the last few years, they have rented a composting bin, if you will, and they're not even filling it up a quarter of the way, so they feel that they're wasting money on renting this bin. He asked if West Newbury residents could participate in the town of Groveland's composting. They would be willing to charge their residents and pass, obviously, those costs along to us. We settled on an amount of $35 per sticker. We would provide stickers per year. We would provide stickers to their residents who provided proper documentation showing they are West Newbury residents, and they would have access to the composting, just like the town of Groveland residents, on Wednesday evenings and Saturdays.
How big is the dumpster that they're currently not filling, do you know?
To be honest, I don't know the size
It's
of
probably
it.
not a 60-yard dumpster or anything like that, right?
I don't know. I honestly
can't
don't
think
know.
it's that much if they can't have a dumpster filled, whatever size it is.
Yeah, and he said, I don't think we're talking a lot of people. He said, I'd be surprised if you even get 25 people interested. He said, we just feel that we're wasting money on this composting dumpster, and if we could offer another option, it would be preferable. So, Bob was fine with it. He said, as long as it's residential, we have room right now. He said we could evaluate it as the year goes on. If we find that we have additional space, maybe at that point we look to open it up to Groveland contractors, things like that. But we figured this would be a good step to take some revenue in and continue to make use of our composting.
I think it's a good idea. I think we start off slow. We issue 25 or so, see what the traffic's like, see what the composting like, see if there's, what the interest is like, and go from there.
I think Dan had a question, Bill.
What's in the composting? I mean, it's not like, you
No, it's
Biodegradable.
yard, yeah, it's yard
it's not
leaves
like
and
throwing
grass
the,
clippings.
eggshells in there and stuff like that.
No. So I think it's all yard materials, leaves and grass.
'Cause I was over there about a week ago on a Saturday. My wife sent me there with the big lawn bags. And there's just basically a big pile. There's a guy there in a truck with his dog. Nice Doberman. It was a nice dog. And there's a big pile of just, you throw the, bags in a pile. So I don't know what they do with them next. But, and then there's another pile for brush, depending on the diameter of the branches, I guess.
Do they mulch that up and
That
use
goes
it
in a
as,
different spot, so.
Biodegrade.
What happens to them eventually?
Well, the composting, they'll turn and actually compost, and then people can go and take, or we use it around town to fill in land that we need to add additional soil.
I think the main issue, concern for me, and I don't know if anyone else is, what impact would it have on traffic for that neighborhood? So, I mean, if it could be limited, let's just say they give out 25 permits, and then we see how that goes, I don't think it's gonna create congestion in traffic, but again, it's all incremental change, and if there's another 50 cars coming down the street on Saturday morning, is that gonna irritate some of the residents in town, in that neighborhood over there, and it may. Nobody showed up today, they were here, but, so, I don't know if anyone else wants to.
Yeah, I think Dan,
Chime in on that, can we limit it and then play it by ear?
I think it'd be tough to limit it, but Dan kind of raises a good point about neighbors' complaints. Maybe we should let the neighbors be able to weigh in on it with maybe like some sort of like a public hearing. See if there's any complaints from the neighbors. And I agree with them on that. And obviously, there's going to be an increased cost to the highway department in the processing of this, where they have to pile it up with their equipment, chip up the brush, however they do that. And I'd like to be able to see the permit fee somehow go back to the highway department, rather than go into the general fund. And I think the only way that that could be done would be to set up some kind of a separate, like a revolving account of some sort. But if the highway department is going to incur a cost, which I'm sure that they will, and, you know, you only got probably 5 guys there, we should be able to recoup some of that cost and to go back to the highway department. And I don't see how you could limit it to like 25.
I'm just throwing that out
Yeah,
there. It's
or
just
even
just
35.
brainstorming on that,
I think you gotta open it up to all of them. The neighbors should get a chance to weigh in on it, though.
So I would just say, after having a conversation with Bob, he actually could implement this as road commissioner. But because he was attaching a fee to it, the board would have to set the fee. I did tell him I was gonna present the whole plan to you all, but he could certainly implement that under his jurisdiction. I don't know if he would choose to do that or not. He and I did speak about the fee and the revolving fund. Currently, the cost of composting is, we do pay the guys to stand at the gate and check the people coming in and make sure that they're disposing the proper items. And yes, there is a cost to composting it and getting rid of the brush. But currently, we're completely funding that ourselves. We pay for all of that. So if we
that's
had.
already in place, no matter what.
That is all in place, correct, that we are fully funding that. So the thought was if we had a fee coming in from another community, it's not costing our residents anything at this point. I will tell you, we have talked about implementing an annual sticker for town residents as well in the future. But it's a cost that another town would be subsidizing our costs, so we figured it was kind of a win-win for us, but
Do you have any stats on usage right now?
I don't.
'Cause I could guess, but it is probably, if Groveland's using it, and we allow West Newbury, are we gonna double it? I mean, it seems to
Oh, I
me,
don't think so.
logic would tell me would potentially double it. So what is the current use?
I don't know, but like I said, in talking to West Newbury, he didn't think it was going to be a significant number of people.
Didn't look like a lot of bags.
I think Bob would shy away from anything that's gonna take funds out of his budget to increase, you know, a payment or another charge for his bottom line. I think he would've looked at this and said, hey, you know, I'm gonna get money in, I'm gonna get extra compost, it's not really gonna cost me anything, and it's a win-win, like you said. So for me, it's an easy decision, let's try it, see what happens.
Yeah, sure, can I talk about this without being in a butter, or you think I should just stay out of it?
It's technically, if you abstain from a vote, you're supposed to
Okay,
abstain from
all right,
discussion.
okay, all
So
right, go ahead.
it's your call, if you feel you need to abstain, given your location.
What's the chances of, if you charge for West Newbury residents, that we could open it up more than Wednesday evening and Saturday mornings?
I think in order to do that, we would have to probably start charging a Groveland fee too, because I think we'd get the majority of Groveland people coming in, that we would just be fully subsidizing that pay. I don't think it's out of the question.
Has to be manned, though. That's the
Correct, we
problem.
have to man it, so we would have to be paying additional salary.
More hours, more labor.
And if we're only getting a handful of West Newbury, it's not gonna subsidize our costs enough, I don't think, to add additional days. But if it's something in the future, you know, January 1st, 2017, if you wanna do a $15 a year permit for Groveland residents, and then we could probably open it up more hours during the week, because we could set up a revolving fund specifically for composting
I mean,
and sustain that.
you think we'll sell 100 permits, or is it gonna be a?
That's why we say we start at 25 and see what happens.
Yep.
In West Newbury, I don't know.
And this would be for non-commercial, I mean, so.
Correct, it would just be
It'd
residential,
have to be just your house stuff.
correct.
Can't be
And that's why we would sell stickers to them, so that we knew that it was residential only, and it was per
It'd be
vehicle.
like Joe's Landscape.
Correct, correct.
What about an additional fee for Joe's Landscaping?
So we did talk about that. Part of the issue is, there is concern that if we start taking landscaping debris and compost, we may run out of space sooner than anticipated. That they wouldn't be able to compost it fast enough if we're getting large deliveries of materials. It's something that we talked about, perhaps if we can find additional space with obviously purchasing Center Street, if there's a way to add additional footage to Highway to make a bigger composting, then that's something that they could definitely entertain. But he didn't want to go down that road yet until he saw, what
the
we
volume
have.
is on this.
I don't know, I mean, why can't we limit the permits? I mean, I'd say from 25 to 50 and see how it goes. I mean,
I'm on board with that.
you know, what if you said 50, it's the first 50 people, after that, we're not taking any more, we can limit what comes in. We should, I mean, again, it's, it has parameters, it's a matter of degree, and it's unlikely we're gonna get 5,000 people coming.
I would say yes, that is highly
How many people
unlikely.
live in West Newbury?
Less than here.
Everybody's gonna get a permit.
I mean, if you want to discuss it more, I could, I can certainly see if Bob wants to come in, or if the West Newbury DPW director wants to come in
Well,
and talk to you.
what's the possibility of just a flat fee for West Newbury, rather than individual permits? Charge West Newbury X amount of dollars to, for the residents.
And
Then
we
you have
actually
no
discussed
control
that
over
as well.
volume.
Right, we discussed that as well, but then there would be, we couldn't control who came in. So they said that there was a possibility that they would buy the stickers from us at $35 a piece and only charge their residents $10 or $15 because they were looking for a solution.
You could subsidize it.
Correct, but then there's no control over who comes in or how many people. We wouldn't know. It would sort of be anyone would be welcome.
I think if we allow
Which,
it.
we could certainly do that. We could propose that to West Newbury. I don't think they'd have a
that's
problem with
I
it.
think that's a
but-
bad idea.
I've been down there a number of times, and my first question is, how do you monitor this? 'Cause nobody monitors it now. I've been there, untold number of times, and nobody's ever asked, if I see anyone, nobody's ever asked me for an ID, if I live in Groveland, or Chelsea, or Chicopee, or Londonderry, or wherever. So, we can say we're gonna sell 1 billion tickets, but if we don't monitor it, how do we know we're getting any return on this?
Was it certain hours only?
So it's Wednesday nights and Saturdays. There is a gate now, so no one, you just can't go in at any time. And the guys who sort of man the station claim that they know everybody from Groveland that comes in there. So they see somebody or see a vehicle and recognize it from time to time. That's why we said if we were looking at West Newbury, we would actually provide a sticker that they have to have in their window.
I went
I'm
down
not
there
gonna
once,
question
like
anybody,
I
but
said.
you really think that they know everybody in Groveland?
Unless it's the same people
Well,
going in
it's
there
Ed
every
Reed,
time.
and he told me he knows everybody in Groveland.
He does know, yeah, he probably does know everybody in Groveland.
And he's the one who told me that.
The other problem I have with, Inglesby Farm had the same problem. They were letting everybody dump their compost there, and then the contractors started dumping their stuff there, and it was out of control what they were dumping.
But this would be on
So that's
road
actually, right.
commissioner. I mean, it would be his discretion, right?
And that's actually why there's a gate now, because that was happening here. We were getting everything dumped there at all times of day, and that's why they put up the gate. So now it's only open during those specific times.
So there is a mechanism to make sure, to monitor it, to make sure that people, if Ed says that they're Groveland residents, and he probably knows them, and then if they have a special sticker to the West Newbury people of 25 or 30, whatever we start at, then they'll be able to show that and say, all right, we'll see what the volume is, we'll see if the traffic is really heavy, and then, if we need to limit it again, then we do it, or if we need to increase it because there's not a whole lot happening, then, we get more revenue out of it, so.
Yeah, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate and don't wanna see a free-for-all.
No,
If it
no.
gets out and all of a sudden, everybody says, hey, Groveland has a great place to dump all your garbage.
Yeah.
Right, no, and that's not what we want, obviously. We don't want that to happen. I think we were just trying to, offer a solution to them. He seems like he was really looking for some help.
Always looking to help out a neighbor, just don't wanna, take one in the chin doing it.
Bob seems to think it will work.
Yes.
So do we have to rewrite a,
Sorry.
do we have to rewrite a proposal and then vote on it, or can we vote on?
Same thing, I mean, if you have specific terms, I could write up a specific, you know, if you had specific terms, I would speak to, no, I would speak to the DPW director in
Yeah.
West Newbury, make sure that if you say 25 stickers or 30 stickers, he may say that's plenty, or that might get us into a little bit of a bind with the other 15 that I know want to participate, I don't know.
I think it's a good idea to go back to him first before we take a vote, and
Yeah.
then make sure that that's appropriate for what he's thinking, and then go to Bob again, make sure that he's okay with what we're thinking,
Right.
and then we can vote on it. I'm okay with
But
that.
what is it that you're all thinking?
I'm
'Cause
thinking,
you've all thrown out
Dan,
different
what'd you say,
things.
25? I'm good with 25.
You know what, I mean, I'd even go higher than that, I mean, you know, if he's saying we want 500 stickers, I mean, that's a lot of cars on a Saturday morning,
Yeah.
I don't like that number. If 50 or less, I'd be okay with, you know.
I'm good with that.
At 25 or 35 per, you're only looking at bringing in $875.
Yeah, but it might pay for the guy to sit there, you know, I went down there
Definitely
once,
more than
and
that,
there was a
yeah.
guy there, he got out, he came over and spoke to me, his dog came out, I patted the dog, I mean, you know, he didn't ask me for my ID or, you know,
26
my
Saturdays.
papers or anything, but I mean, it
Yeah,
was.
But how many hours is he there on those days?
Dead giveaway, it says
Gotta be
McDonald's
overtime.
Selectmen on my bumper sticker,
Is
you
it
know.
overtime?
No,
Could've
because they
been
don't
anyone.
work for us.
Could've been anyone, right?
It doesn't work for us. It's, so he's there, I think,
He's
2
only on
hours
television,
Wednesday nights and 9 to 1 or 9 to 2 or something like
5 hours
that
a
on
week. I think he had
on
an old
Saturday.
black and
And they
white or something,
alternate.
you know. Something like Channel U.
So with that $875, would that cover
Put it off.
the
The cost
employees
of-
to go down there for those hours, or?
No one else for motion.
It's only
For the
open-
year?
It's only open season.
Yeah, well, they're only, it's only open for a few months.
Yeah.
It's-
Not for nothing, if it were for pay for that guy, it's one less bill
Get
we
the
gotta pay.
information from
I mean, it
Bob.
all
Right.
adds up.
Yeah, if we just don't want it to exceed.
Right.
you
Well,
know,
they're down there
these
anyways,
costs
right?
exceed.
They're down there
they're
anyways.
down
We're
there
paying them
anyways.
to be there anyways.
Yeah.
This
So
would
this
just,
could go towards
Correct,
whatever else
although-
they may need down there. for
although I would
sand or
say to
something.
Ed's point, if you do implement this now or say June 1st or whatever, it would be general fund until we formally establish a revolving fund to self-sustain itself.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think we'd even need to do that. We could look at it and say we brought in X, and then next year when we go through the budget process, we give it to the highway department. I mean,
Yep.
we can target funds.
Yep,
that are,
exactly.
You know, all end up in the general fund. I mean, we can match those numbers up and get them in the right spot. If it takes a little more work than just sending it to a.
Right, right.
So do we wanna, take a vote, to put this off for 2 weeks and get the information from Bobby and, from the highway superintendent down in West Newbury, and then, we'll bring it back?
Yeah, well, you should vote on whatever parameters you want to explore, so that I know that you're all on the same page.
I think we could, well, this would be my proposal. We explore 50 permits max, right? And put it out there, and if all the neighbors come in here in droves, they don't want 50 cars coming down their street on Saturday morning, then we can nix it, because we serve the people of Groveland, not West Newbury. Sorry, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. So what do we work for?
Well, why don't we give them a chance to come in at the next meeting?
So we could, yeah, we could postpone it for 2 weeks, solicit, is 50 like not even worth it for West Newbury, or they'll take it?
Right.
Will they take what we offer? And then see how it goes, and maybe it's inconsequential to anyone, and no one cares. And then next year, we can go up to 75 or 100. You know?
I'm good, yeah, I'll second that. If that's, is that your your motion?
Do we need a motion with that?
Well, as long, I just want to make sure that a majority of you agree with
That's
that.
my notion, though.
Your notion.
50 permits to start residential only, and we're going to see what West Newbury has to say about that.
Yeah, and Bob.
Non-resident permits, no permit for Grovelanders.
No, I mean West Newbury, I said West Newbury residents.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not talking, we're just talking West Newbury residents. Yep,
I like free for Groveland.
yep. Yeah, so I'll run it by Bob and West Newbury and make sure that those terms seem to work for both of them.
You know, it's
And if so, I'll just write something
50
up.
times 35, what's that? How's the math? Over 1,600 bucks?
And you're okay with a $35 fee? Is that a good number for you all?
Good to start with.
We just kind of picked it out of,
You know, the other thing,
Yeah.
the other thing we could do is, you know, on the permit, you know, I don't know if you could have like a little punch ticket or something, but I'd almost like to limit it to a number of trips per permit, you know? I mean, I'm like that
I think there's an
nitpicky.
app for that.
You know, $5 a trip or something, so you get 7 things, you know.
What we were looking at was,
After 7, you get a free haircut or something, you know.
You get a free dumping?
we were looking at stickers that would be specific to a vehicle. So we would actually have to write their license plate number on the sticker, and it would be on their window or something of their vehicle. So if they wanted multiple cars in their household, they would need multiple stickers.
But that's what you do for the boat ramp.
Correct.
I got a little
Yep.
sticker on my window.
It's like a
and you
laminated
just-
card or something?
And it would have
stick it
a
on the
year.
window.
It would have, yeah, so
Otherwise, you just transfer it to someone else and you cheat.
Exactly, so I've changed the boat ramp stickers for the
I
year.
wouldn't.
So this year, there'll be a different, so there's no more hole punching, because that, you could just punch a new hole. So now you'll have a specific year for each
Fell
sticker.
in the old hole. I would never do that.
So there is a new sticker, so I use that as a general basis to design a new sticker. So it had, Groveland composting, 2016, and then it had a block for where we would write in, or West Newbury would write in the registration number. And that registration number would have to match the car that it's with. So a way to prove that we've already checked that they are a West Newbury resident.
There you go. That could pay for the guy to sit there for 10 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
So, are you all on board with 50 permits to start for West Newbury? $35 West Newbury residents only is what I'm gonna bring back.
Just for feedback purposes.
Yep.
Now, Dan, did you suggest that we ask the residents first, or we put the,
Well, we're gonna
It's
throw
same-
that, both,
Same
at the
time, 2
same
weeks.
time? Okay.
both, and we can vote it up or down next week. If nobody shows up, then it's kinda like, you know,
Don't care.
they're giving us the green light. I mean, silence is the way I see it.
okay.
People show up and they're upset about it, you get phone calls, I mean, there's that feedback, but I think enough people are watching the channel.
Way to notify the residents down there of any way?
Put it on the agenda that would, you know,
Put it on the website?
Asking for community feedback?
Yeah.
just, you know, some people are really tough on traffic and they don't want one more car coming down the road, so I understand it. If it was my street, you know.
Right, I'd rather hear from those people now than later.
Right. That's why I think we just put it off for the next meeting, 2 weeks. Talk to Bob, you can talk to the people in West Newbury. We're on camera now. If you speak now, or we're gonna vote on this in 2 weeks. That's kinda how I see it.
Okay.
It's reasonable.
Do you wanna bring Bob in, and Bob and Gary in 2 weeks, and have them talk about it too, or not?
Well, to be honest with you, you guys have a very, very, very full agenda in 2 weeks. So it depends how much discussion time you want to add to this. You have a public hearing, and you have Chief Lay's next update, which will be about 45 minutes or so, and then you have 2 or 3 other agenda items. So it's a very packed agenda already. So it's up to you. If you want me to ask them to both come in, I just don't know where I could fit them right now.
45 minutes on the phone.
I might use that remote participation that night, because I got an early flight Tuesday morning.
And just so you know, I will actually not be here at your next meeting, so,
What's to talk about at the fire department? I mean, they got the truck, I mean.
well, apparently the meeting I missed, actually, you were out too, Dan. He came here and the board asked him to provide monthly updates, so he's on the schedule every month, and he said he
It
needs.
should be like 4.5 minutes, not 45 minutes. I mean, I didn't agree to 45 minutes, I mean.
I can change that
Yeah,
if you'd
let's
like.
limit that to
Who's
like
controlling the
15.
docket here, Bill?
If you'd like. me
Well,
to-
I mean, I
This is
think
an
that,
update, not a State of the Union, right?
I think that the last time he was here, that we didn't even give enough time to finish what he had to talk
Yeah, when
about.
he had 45 minutes then, and he didn't even get
He didn't get
2
a, he
points
didn't
through
get a
his
third of it out.
list.
He
So
couldn't.
it's up to you all what you want to give him for
Maybe-
time.
Why can't you just give us the information and have us review it and then ask if there's any questions?
I think what we're trying to do is build a better relationship with the fire department and the board of selectmen, and have them come in, and we can limit it to lower than 45 minutes, but we're trying to build that relationship where he come in and he was trying to explain his department, and he really wanted us to understand what they're doing over there and what's going on, and that's why he was doing what he's doing, but he can maybe do it in 20 minutes and talk about his head points.
Yes, because you also have, it just came back to me, you're meeting with Matt Castonguay. He's going to present the final summer program agenda and the salaries and the staff for you all to discuss and vote on. So that will take some time.
So
that
we,
night.
so, I mean, we can,
But Bill, okay, sorry. Once a month?
that's what we asked.
Okay, so that's every other meeting, we're gonna have 45 minutes from the fire department?
No, I'm just saying, we can shorten it up.
You know, 4.5
And then we're gonna have.
We can
you know,
shorten it, and we'll
and
just
then
go to
we have
20
every
minutes,
other meeting
15
will be the
minutes, whatever you
police
want. I
and
mean,
the
whatever you
highway
want.
and
Tell him
I just,
he's gonna need to figure out how he's gonna get what he needs to get said.
He's asked for 30 to 45 minutes, and I know at the last meeting, he gave a list of 8 or 9 items and only got through, I think, 2.
I think maybe we ought to rethink it, make it quarterly. I don't need.
Well, they might be
45.
here all night quarterly. Why don't we just go to like 15 or 20 minutes? And he'll have to just come in with his points.
Here's the thing, I mean, I'm okay with the summary, how many calls did you have, what's going on, bop. It's like town meeting, I don't wanna be a fireman, you know, I'm not
Right.
trying to be a fireman, I
well-
don't wanna run the department, so I don't understand why we get 45 minutes or something.
Well, I think
that-
what's happening
that-
right now, I'm not
that
trying to defend the fire
we
department,
have a
but
strong chief and he's
Right.
running the fire department.
Right, but
So,
I-
okay, so whatever he tells us, all right, what are we gonna say to it? Okay, thanks for the info.
we're hopefully gonna have input. Hopefully, we're gonna be able to get our input, and we're gonna be able to have some input. But, I mean, if that's what you guys
Not
wanna
an-
do,
not
you're
an
on the
hour
board, I'm only one of
presentation.
the board. I personally think that we need to,
I've had shorter meetings at the White House.
Maybe we need a catch-up meeting, and maybe it needs to be longer, but every other meeting at the Board of Selectmen, I
Yeah.
don't think we need 45
Highlights.
minutes.
it was only once a month.
Once a quarter, we do the.
It was once a month, it wasn't every other
marathon
meeting.
session.
But that comes out to every
That's
other
once
meeting.
that's every other meeting, once a month.
You know,
We
so
have two
that's-
meetings a month.
that's,
If we do like a total recap, once a quarter like that,
yeah.
and every other meeting we do a 15-minute highlight, that's all I need.
Well, let's see
So-
what they got for information when they come in 2 weeks. See what they have for information, and then we can,
So do you wanna stop, we can cut it down from 45 minutes to 15 or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm just trying to,
Like last time you come in, right, and I asked questions about the ambulance service, all that's later on in the program, well, you know.
all right, so what we do is
Yeah.
he picks 3
If
topics
he
or
breaks it
something
da-
like that.
break it
We
down in
ask him to
segments.
pick 3 topics to come in and talk to us, and he has to keep it under 30 minutes.
Okay,
Okay, simple as that,
yes,
under
so,
30 minutes.
and I apologize, because we were talking about West Newbury, but like I said, I didn't know how to get it on the agenda, because you'd be here till midnight at the next meeting, so. So you want me to tell him 3 topics?
Yep.
30 minutes or less? And I'll shrink his time down.
If they don't want 30 minutes, I'm not gonna dictate
Right.
for the board, they can
Right.
say, I just think we're gonna narrow it down, like last time, he had 8 topics or something, let's just narrow it down to 3 topics
We only need the
and give him a
highlights.
timeline, that's all, whatever you guys wanna listen to, that's fine with me.
Yeah, obviously, if there's questions, then we can ask questions, but
Right.
the highlights is all we need. I mean,
Right.
I don't wanna be here till midnight on that Monday night, knowing I got a 5 AM flight, I wanna wear my alligator slippers or something.
It's good information that we received on certification levels that firemen are receiving. That's good information for us and for the public. It's good to know what the taxpayers are paying for. It's good to know what services are available. It's good to know what their needs are. Well, we had that meeting, that's all. What's next?
So do you guys wanna go under 30 minutes, do you wanna go to 30 minutes, I mean,
I just don't know, at what point are we updated?
all I know is we told the chief that we'd like to see him come before us once a month with an update, and we said that, and I'm just honoring what we said, if you guys,
I just think it ought to be limited to 15 minutes. I don't.
I think what we were looking for was,
How many calls?
calls,
How many fires? How
what
many
type of
ambulance
calls.
calls, you know?
you know,
He doesn't
I don't think
need-
we were looking for.
he shouldn't even have to come
man-hours. I don't
before
think we
us.
were looking for anything else.
he shouldn't even have to come before us for that, he should, once a month, just submit us a piece of paper with all the information on it, and that's it.
Exactly.
I think that would actually be
Exactly.
better.
Like, the police department submitted something that showed how many calls they had and how many tickets, how many warnings, all that sort of thing.
I just don't wanna
That's-
go back and set the precedent, go back to him and now say that we asked you to come here once a month, now we're going back and setting the precedent, say, we don't wanna see you, but we want you just to give us a piece of paper, so I just wanna make sure we're on the right road, that's all.
This is, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
I say he gives us a highlight of the topics he would like us to know about.
Mhm.
And then we say if we have any questions. If we don't have any questions, then we don't have any questions. We don't have to say 45 minutes or an hour, just
Mhm.
say 15 minutes. If we have questions, great. If not, he gives us the information, and then we move on.
Timeless.
No? I think at 45 minutes or an hour is just too much, especially on
I
the
think,
packed agenda.
I'm gonna go back
Want me
and.
to leave it at 30 for the next meeting, and you
Hold on,
can
let me just
discuss
see
it
if I can
then?
try doing this again. If you remember the conversation we had with the chief.
Yep.
We had a breakdown between the BOS and the fire department. We were gonna
Yep.
try and bring that dialogue back and talk with them, and we we're gonna try and work between the BOS and the fire department. And if it's 15 minutes, I'm fine with it. If he has two topics or one topic, it's fine. We were saying that, in that meeting, I do believe that there was something he had said we didn't know about. We're like, oh, that's great, now we understand it. So all I was saying is, I want to keep the dialogue open. And
Right,
that's,
but the length of time doesn't determine the
No,
flow
I'm
of
not saying
information.
that.
It
I'm
doesn't
not-
determine the flow of information.
Right.
You can get your
Right.
point across in your highlights of what's been going on the last 2 weeks in 10 or 15 minutes. That's all
Sure.
we need. We don't
Okay.
need a full State of the Union report on
I agree.
every aspect of what's going on with the fire.
Bill, I think now that the fire truck issue is resolved, say, the issue there is, last year, it was voted on, but there wasn't any funds appropriated for it. So you get the relationship, was tarnished by that, but it wasn't the Board of Selectmen's fault that there wasn't money there to sign a contract and go buy a truck last November. So
Right.
we put it off. Went to the voters. Voters voted to finance it over 20 years. I mean, that's a resolved issue in my
Right.
mind.
And that's-
okay?
I agree.
So, the perception of some was, the Board of Selectmen was trying to stop the purchase of the truck,
right, that's,
Well, you know
that's,
what?
Now we're at the radius.
The
But-
problem-
But there's the law, and there's procedure, and there's, the end doesn't justify the means. We gotta follow procedure. So now that the truck's going to be paid for, so, I mean, that ought to put all that to rest,
the
in my
truck will be
mind.
to rest, but now you have other issues that will come up. I can tell you, it's only rumored, I've heard that 2 trucks are gonna be sold in South Groveland, downsizing. One's too big, one's too small, we need to downsize, we're gonna go to 1 truck. I'm sure that's gonna come before us. I just wanna keep the dialogue open, and if you guys think that you don't want it, I'm one of 5.
I
just
don't
want.
think we're saying we don't
No,
want
no,
it.
I'm just saying, if we have to drop it to 15 minutes, I don't have a problem with that.
We're not saying we don't want it and we don't want to know
Bill,
what the fire
here's the
department's
thing,
doing.
here's the thing, everybody saw my 2 cents, or listened to my 2 cents on the strong chief, weak chief. We got a strong chief, so, we got a strong chief, and that's what the people voted for, so strong chief can go run his department. I mean, I'm not gonna micromanage him. If he comes before us, to question it, it's just, you end up on a face page and everyone's, bashing you because you question, what they're doing at the fire department. So
So-
I just,
so, and
I think it just sets us up like bowling pins to get knocked
I'm
down.
not gonna be wise when I say this,
You know
but
what I'm saying?
I understand clearly what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
But
like,
I don't wanna-
fine. You want autonomy, you have autonomy.
Okay,
So,
so if he has autonomy-
If I don't hear anything bad, no news is good news.
Okay,
They run
so
the fire
if-
department,
if-
I don't hear anything bad about it, I'm
We're
not gonna
gonna
say
take-
boo.
If we're gonna take the attitude that he's the strong chief, and that's the way the town meeting went.
He isn't, so-
Okay, hold on, let me finish. If he's the strong chief, then okay, go buy what you want, go do what you want.
No, we still have,
All right, so that's where I wanna have the
contractual
dialogue.
authority under state law.
That's where I wanna have the dialogue. That's why I wanna have the dialogue. That's all I'm saying.
He can present it. If he wants to
All
buy
right,
something,
okay.
then it's back to the Board of Selectmen. That's our job to, vote up or down on contracts, And then, again, you need appropriation of funds through a proper means, If you need a debt exclusion or a Prop 2.5 override, you just can't go to town meeting and vote on it, and that's the end of it. That's not how it works, and I don't want to get back in that pickle again, I don't want to. Okay, guy to blame because somebody didn't follow the rules, So, if they want something, it's gotta go through capital improvements. There's a whole procedure before it even gets to the Board of Selectmen. Am I wrong?
Well, I think the dialogue is good. Other town boards and committees, we can read the minutes of their meetings and realize what's going on. But unless the fire department comes in and tells us what's going on, we don't know. So I think the dialogue has been good so far, with some good information the last time they came in.
Do you wanna try and, for sake of argument, go to 15 minutes? Oh, I'm sorry, Bill.
I, for one, am used to meeting with my department heads every month. I want to keep the dialogue, I want to keep the door open, I don't like surprises. So keeping that constant flow of communication back and forth, let's face it, some of you guys don't have a great reputation now You need to open that line of communication, keep it open. You don't have to kiss anybody's rear.
Right.
But you'd have to listen. You don't wanna be surprised. That's not what we're here for. So that we can anticipate and understand their problems before they become a major impact. I don't think giving your department heads, especially a fellow that runs a department as big as that, 10, 15 minutes of your time once a month is a bad thing.
I'm just knocking down 45.
But you know
I
what?
didn't say anything about
When's
10 or
the f-
15, that's where I was at.
I agree, but how many meetings have you had like this with them?
That was the first one.
One. So, my experience has been the first couple of meetings are always gonna be the longest because it's an
Exactly,
educational purpose.
exactly.
And as you go along and become
gets
more
less and less
educated,
and less.
you get less and less because now you understand the subjects and he's
Yep.
just touching upon the highlights and it's a
Right.
quick summary.
You know how it's running, you know how the department's running, you know, you've been in it, you're involved.
I agree,
Right now, we're not involved.
and we need to be more involved.
Right. So, Dan wants to get under 45 minutes. I agree with him, probably too long. You guys agree with 3 topics and keep it to 20 minutes? I mean, you
20
guys
Good
minutes.
with that.
I'll
You
go
good with
with
that?
20, yeah.
Yeah.
20?
I'm
Okay.
good with that.
3 topics, 20 minutes, okay?
Okay,
Awesome.
sounds good.
Should we limit the number of topics? I mean, or just the time? If you can get through 10 topics in 20 minutes, right?
Perfect, that's right,
More power to him.
right, okay.
Talk fast.
Talk any way you want. You got 20 minutes, if you can get, whatever you can get through in 20 minutes, God bless you, right?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so then back to the West Newbury, so I will cut him down and then add a discussion for the West Newbury composting in the time that we're now limiting.
For West Newbury.
So I will make some time out of that meeting.
So
10
you're gonna,
minutes for West Newbury.
And I will ask if Bob and Gary want to be here and participate in that
Yes,
discussion.
if they think it's necessary to explain what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, I'm not passionate either way about it, but it seems like we ought to, in the interest of the residents, just be a little guarded on that, and that's all I wanna do is be a little guarded and defensive on that we're not opening a floodgate here, there's something we don't want. Cause then you create some bad blood with our neighbor in West Newbury if you say, you know, we're gonna stop it,
I'll make one comment
kick them out, you
as an
know?
abutter. As an abutter, I'll go sit in the audience if you want, but as an abutter, I believe the abutters should be notified. And it's not gonna affect my business one iota, because West Newbury's gonna come before they hit my business. It's not, but I truly believe that being on that road, we have the gravel trucks coming out of the pit right now. We have the already Groveland people going in there. I definitely think that we really need to look out for the residents. And like I say, I'm beyond that point. I'm down the road. It's not gonna even affect my business, but that's all I'm saying.
Well, Bill, you wanna set up like a public hearing so that the neighbors can weigh in, the abutters can weigh in on,
I just think that we need to notify him, somehow notify him, that's all I'm saying. And if the gun range, if that goes in there, that's even more traffic that's going in there. I just think, you know, 25 tickets, like Dan said, that's good. I mean, that's not a problem. I don't see a problem. But, whatever, 50, whatever, I'm sorry, whatever it is.
You could always have
And
the-
I just think that we should, well, we had the planning board issue with the planning board that the people were gonna come in for public comment and they wanted to have the public comment. I think it should be no different here. That's just my opinion.
Well, I will, but they are public meetings. We do advertise. I mean, it is on our website what is going to be discussed.
Right.
You know, I mean, I
So
think
there
to.
is open time too.
We
at the
have
beginning.
one
It is open
person here.
discussion. I mean, I would just say, if you're gonna go through,
Show the audience.
In all fairness, not
Get down
everyone,
on Mike there.
in all fairness, not everyone watches.
There you go, there's the audience.
There it
Where are
is.
you,
In
Grovelanders?
all fairness, not everyone watches Channel 9 on Monday night or Tuesday night.
I agree with you, but I just think you need to be careful, because then any issue in town, people are gonna say, well, why didn't I have a public hearing on
I didn't get my
the
certified
Washington
mail
Park
receipt.
playground being redone? More people are going to Washington Park now because we have a new playground. You know, I mean, I just think you need to be careful when you're calling things public hearings. Because any resident could say, I wanted a public hearing because traffic was increased or something like that. So I just think you need to just be careful in that.
All right, so you guys need to finish up, just, I'll shut up.
all right. Well, we'll make a motion to bring it up in 2 weeks with,
With
comments
more
on West
more
Newbury and
consensus.
Groveland.
Yep.
Second, anybody second that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Yep.
Okay.
Four in favor,
Abstain.
one abstain.
Okay, so moving on, we have votes of the boards, minutes from the March 21st, 2016 meeting.
I'll make a motion that we accept those, the looking order. Bill, you were out at that one, so you have to, you weren't at that meeting. I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the March 21st meeting. They look to be in order.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we got the minutes of the March 28th, 2016
I
meeting.
do, of course.
Yes.
I was out on that one, so I'll,
Someone wanna make,
Yeah,
abstain.
I looked through them, they looked to be in order. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the March 28th meeting.
any further discussion? You made a motion, right?
Yes.
So someone's gonna second it.
I was out, so I can't.
Anyone, Dan, you wanna
Yeah,
second it?
that'd be you.
Can't be me.
Hold on a second here, please. 28th there. Is that
This
one?
was the special budget meeting we had. It was all budget discussion.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's the,
All right, I'll go on with it. I'll second it.
Okay, seconded, any further discussion? All in favor?
Abstain.
And then we have the minutes from the April 4th, 2016 meeting.
Those look to be in order. I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of April 4th, 2016.
seconded.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on,
I-
Oop.
I don't know if Dan voted yet. I just want to make sure I get a vote.
I'm sorry.
Looking at the selectmen's turn, yeah. Was I there? I didn't say anything. I must have said something on the selectmen's turn.
No, I think that was the
there's
one
a-
where you,
I
I
think
think that
there's
was the
a-
one you were tired and you just
There's a
said.
gross omission here. I don't know what it is.
No, I think your comment was I was tired and I don't have anything.
I wanna go home, tired and I wanna go to bed.
I think that, I think I remember
have
Dan,
anything
just
for
like I
that
remember.
All right, that was, all right. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Actually, you agreed with Selectman Demore on a matter under old business. That's where I see your name. You questioned Article 13 about water and sewer. Yeah, you're in here.
All right.
So you good to move forward, Dan?
Yeah, I don't wanna hold you up.
Well, you just wanna make sure your name's in there?
Yeah, I like to see my name in
Oh,
there.
So,
Yeah,
no
I'll
further
go- I'll go
discussion?
along with- yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have unfinished business in previous agenda items. Does anyone have anything they want to bring up?
You wanna explain that to Bill?
Yeah.
Sure. So, Bill,
Yes.
on their agenda, every meeting, there is an old business section. So that is sort of gives you free rein to bring up something that has been previously discussed, or if you have a follow-up question or comment on a previous agenda item, as long as it's been previously discussed and posted, you could bring it up at a future meeting under old business. So that's what that section is for.
Okay.
Okay, so does anyone have any under that?
Under old business?
Old business?
Yeah, I wanna, know what's the deal with the, I think you may have alluded to it earlier, but, what's the deal with the Bagnell Grass on the Moon project?
Okay, so the Grass on the Moon project is, we did meet with the superintendent of schools, Denise, the summer program director, and the principal. We discussed timeline of the project. It's going to start before the summer program.
Yeah, can I chime in?
Go ahead.
So it's scheduled to be advertised in the Central Register, the Well project, on May 11th. Bids will be due 2 weeks from that, which is, I think, May 25th. We have a requested work period beginning June 20th. That is the first day after school gets out, that Monday. The summer program starts on the 27th, so we're asking that the drilling take place the week between, and then give them a 2-week period to get the job completed. And then, Bill, I don't know if you want to pick back up with the timeline.
Okay, so from that point in time, once the drill's welled, the well has been drilled, and we will then proceed with the project from there. There's some piles of dirt out there that need to be spread first. We're gonna take compost in from the highway garage, it's gonna be spread so they can get the humus into the soil, because the soil right now is very sandy, and we need to get humus in there. because what happens is the water will just drain right down through. That will be compounded in with a machine, a big machine that they grind roads with. It will be re-leveled and graded. The 2 ball fields will be renovated, with a clay mix. And then we will be putting in some shade trees, the sprinkler system will go in, a mulch area, picnic tables, a couple, benches for the, ball fields.
Bleachers.
It will be raked, fine raked and hydroseeded, and hopefully the project will be done and completed for opening day of school.
Yeah, well, I think when we met, it was gonna be a little bit longer than,
Possibly could
they
be.
couldn't use the fields until
Can't use them
the
for-
fall.
Till late fall.
Yes, and they were okay with that. The school was okay with that because they have that section on the side
Right.
that the summer program would use and then the school would use in the early school year
Right.
for recess and
And the
things like
principal
that.
asked me if he thought they were gonna be able to get back on those fields late fall, and I told him probably not, because the grass really needs to get a good year worth of, maturity out of it before you start playing on it. But there's a wood chipped area where the picnic tables are, which they can go and use that area. It will be under the trees and what have you. So I think everyone understood, and they're all gonna work, and make it all work out. There'll be a drop-off booth slash, microphone little booth that the person that lets the kids in and out of the car will be built. In that booth, there'll be a sprinkler system, time clock in there, and the controllers for the sprinkler system. And then when a child gets dropped off at the school, the person will be in the little booth, they'll call into the school, either have Harry come out or Liz go in. So that will be built, part of the project.
Who's Harry and Liz?
Some kids I met.
Oh, okay.
That was really quick. You came up with that really quick.
So anyway, so that project is gonna be underway pretty soon, we'll be moving forward. Are you good with my explanation so far?
Yeah, I liked it, Bill. That
Okay.
was elaborate, very, I
Well,
like it.
I've
But,
been working on it,
I don't know if this is new or old, you can tell me, but, you
Sure.
know, it's related to the Bagnell.
sure.
So, I watched Candidates Night, and then
Yep.
it was talking about, they were talking about, I think it was on the commissioner, back and forth, that it wasn't intended to, pave that, side parking lot. But also, I think I heard somebody say somewhere along the way that there was still $30,000 in the fund over there.
That money got transferred, when we transferred the money from the summer program, they transferred that money into this project.
You did, okay,
They
so
did.
so that's gone.
That's gone, it's been
Well,
transferred.
It's not gone. It's for
Sitting.
Bagnell landscaping and improvements. So I would say if we finish the whole project that needs to be done, if there's still money and money can cover paving that, then that's certainly something that we could talk to the principal and the superintendent about.
Yeah, I just want to plant that food for thought there, because, I mean, again, you know, I live in town, pick up my kids at the after-school program, you park over there when it's raining out. You know, it's a mud parking lot over there, there's some gravel down there, but it's not the greatest, so, you know, ideally, and again, you know, we don't have to have everything today. Maybe we get it tomorrow or next year or in 5 years, but, you know, if there are some available funds left over in that project, I think pavement would certainly help out with erosion and some
The
maintenance
number
issues over
that we
there.
had was 105, roughly.
I think it was a little more. We transferred 98,000, I think, from the summer program, and then we had 33,000, I think, came over from Pentucket.
Right, so-
So I think 128,
Okay. And
130.
I'm not gonna make any promises, Dan, but
31.
I can tell you from the numbers that I've done and being in the business, I'm not gonna make any but my goal is to try and get that parking lot hot top with the money. And
I mean, what would it be, like 20 grand? I mean, 15, 20 grand, it doesn't look.
I bet it'll be 45 grand to do it right and grade it, it'd probably be 45 grand.
Smaller than Washington
But
Park,
if we
right?
can do this project, and we can do it under budget, which I believe this project can be done for somewheres around 60, 75, my end of it, what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There should be money left over to do that, but, you know, unfortunately, when these projects go, things cost more or whatever. I'm not gonna make a definite promise, but I believe that we're gonna have money left over.
All right, just following up on what I heard.
Yep, no, that's my goal. My goal is to try and get that taken care of.
I promised I wouldn't talk that much tonight.
Okay.
Am I over my verbiage?
No, you're good.
Yeah, that's
But-
okay.
but-
What's your estimated total cost of that project?
My estimated total cost right now.
Yes, start
is
to finish, soup to nuts.
If we were gonna do the whole parking lot, hot top and
Nope,
everything, just the back,
Just the grass.
60 to 75.
I think we'll know more when we get the well.
Yep.
Because that's probably gonna be the largest piece.
Yep.
I think we estimated around 38,000 is what the estimate was. The irrigation system, we will be using a state contractor, so we don't have to go out to bid on that. That'll save a little bit of money on the bidding process. We do have to pay prevailing wage on both the well and the irrigation system, so obviously we'll pay more on that. But some of the other pieces, we're looking to talk to the highway department and see if they can help us with spreading the loom and the compost and things like that. So we wouldn't have to contract those things out.
And Denise, can I ask you a question on the prevailing wage? I understood the prevailing wage did not have to be paid if it was private money. And is CPA considered private money?
No. Anything that comes out under our tax ID number is town funds.
So it has to be, okay. And,
Unless we do it in-house. Then it's payroll.
Right, if we do it in-house, it's payroll, but if we hire a contractor under the town of Groveland's umbrella, it is prevailing wage over a certain threshold.
right, and as I said to you today, we will have the conversation with the road commissioner. I know he has a lot of projects. I don't want to burden him with another one. We will have that conversation and what have you. I base these numbers on outside companies. That's why I'm saying, if you're gonna do it in-house and you think you're gonna do it cheap or whatever, I did it to get it done, so however that works out, and we can discuss it. So are you all good with that, Dan?
Yeah, and one
Okay.
other thing. I
Any
mean,
other questions?
Good.
Okay. All right, anyone have anything else under old business?
Yeah, Shanahan, the bathrooms. Again, I was over there at a soccer game, one of my kids, and I took a look over there, poked around it. Did they close the trench? Did they?
Yeah.
When are they gonna be,
I walked by this afternoon.
when
It's
are
all
they
been
gonna be
closed off.
operational, you know? I mean, How
Right.
can you use them?
So there's an issue with the bathrooms.
Soccer's open.
They closed the trench. The plumbing inspector will not issue a permit because the bathrooms were considered, when they were purchased and went through the process, we were considering them a temporary facility. But as soon as you make a tie-in to the water line, they become a permanent facility. And under the mass regulations, there are certain requirements that was not planned for initially. So in order to have a plumbing permit issued, we need to have a hot water tank installed, and the PVC piping needs to be changed over to copper piping. In addition,
Why is that? My understanding, that was international code compliant, that building. And whereas it's seasonal, I don't think we're gonna have bursting pipes in December, because no one's using the bathrooms in December. So why can't we get a seasonal, temporary permit out of our plumbing guy?
I guess because the minute we connected it to the water line, it made it a permanent structure, which means you follow the mass code under permanent structures.
We need a quick couple there where we disconnect it when we're done in September or October.
So, those are the first few things. There's something with an antifreeze system, which I don't understand, but, and then they were not planning, soccer was not planning to put an ADA ramp into the bathroom. One of the two bathrooms is fully handicap accessible, but they hadn't planned to put a cement pad ramp up
I
to it.
looked at that, there's steps like this, so, I mean, the ramp wouldn't be like,
But would it be, I don't think it's a big issue to get a ramp.
No, but I think the total cost, from what I'm hearing after talking to Sam, he said it could be several $1,000s to do the heater and the piping and the ramp. The problem is, there's no funds now, because CPA covered the cost of the facility. Soccer has provided costs for putting the excavation and putting the initial cement pad down, and it's not like we have money sitting in an account to do these things. So, right now, we're trying to get a cost, we're going back.
Was it brought up prior to the planning of it, or?
Well, that's part of the problem. The prior building inspector reviewed the plans. Sam reviewed the plans when he came in.
And you know something, and we go back to the point, and I'll say it, and I'm not trying to be, it goes back to planning. It goes back to a planner. It goes back to a lot of that conversation. It goes back to the point where, when you have a project, you really should have an engineer. And I know, I'm not trying to criticize anyone, volunteers in this town do a great job, but when you take a $70,000 building, really, I mean, at this point in time, it's there, we need to fix it, we need to get it taken care of. And I think Dan just alluded to it, we can't call it a seasonal building?
why can't we get a conditional permit on it and then it, put in the copper pipe after the season? I mean, what is the purpose of the code there? It's safety. You're gonna burst pipes in the middle of August? I mean,
Well,
seriously.
I think the copper is required for the hot water, and the hot water is required to wash your hands because it's now a permanent structure. So you need to provide hot water for hand washing, and in order for that, I think you need the copper piping.
Can we come up with that, what is it, $2,000 or just edit? It'd be an absolute sin.
Right.
To let that thing sit there.
Right.
Right, like a big
Unusual.
giant $60,000, $70,000 paperweight.
Right.
because we have, it defies common sense. You use hand sanitizer in a porta potty, and those things are absolutely disgusting.
And we tried that, we did try that
You know,
argument.
at least you have running water and it's cold.
Right. Let, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, Mike Dempsey, Community Preservation Committee tonight. So I would suggest come up with what you need, and we'll see if we can get it through administrative funds on CPA.
Okay. Yeah, well, right now, we were going back and forth with the company that built it to tell them what we need and to see if it's something they will, because they're actually looking to use our site now as their, display in Massachusetts. They want people to come and look at it, they want people to buy their products, so, we're hoping that they will work with us on some of these updates that are required
so-
in Massachusetts.
How quick could we get the Band-Aid on this thing? How quick can we get the fix?
Denise, I went down there the Sunday right before town meeting.
Let's do
I
it.
went in the building, I viewed the building. In the middle of that building is all the plumbing and what have you.
It's in a utility room.
It's in a utility room.
It's not
So they-
even in
I'm
the
not trying to
bathrooms.
say I'm a plumber, I'm not. I've been around long enough to know. There's no reason they can't drop a 30-gallon or a 40-gallon hot water tank in there and run some plumbing out to where it needs to go. I know it costs money and what have you, but, I mean,
Well, then you have a cost for heating the water.
Electrical.
right, well, the electrical's already on, they have
Then you
lights
gotta
there.
heat the water, and then you have the water. I can see where you're going with it. That's good, but.
You could have an inline
And
hot
who's
water
gonna-
heater.
Who was gonna take care of the cost of utilities to that bathroom anyway? They were.
Right,
So they should be able to
maintain
handle the hot water.
utilities.
It's not gonna be like, we're gonna have 10 people in there an hour washing their hands with hot water. And my point is, I mean, I don't care if we had to find Mike's nice to come up and say what he said, but, I mean, I think this is, like Dan said, this is a shame. This has gone on for 2 years, and it's a shame to have this at this point in time. And I'm saying this board, if Mike's willing to work with us and can do it quick, I think we need to expedite this sooner than later.
Oh, and we are. I mean, it's, we're trying. We are getting a list. We're meeting with the plumbing inspector. Sam called the state, trying to see if there was any way around this.
Yeah.
We are trying to get together a punch list of what's required from both plumbing and electrical, because there was something that the electrical inspector wouldn't approve either, but I'm not entirely sure of what that was. So we're working with them to get a list so that we can try and get done what we need to, but
What was spent to date?
the unit was $66,000. 66 and change is what the unit was.
Unit.
It's a really nice
Together, what was
unit.
spent to date? Installation, everything.
Well, I don't know, because I don't know what soccer's paid. So soccer paid to do their
What
own
did the towns pay?
$66,000.
That's it?
Plus advertising costs.
Soccer put in a lot of money.
Yeah, so that we bought a fully built unit and they paid to install, that was part of it, was installation was part of the bid.
Right.
So 66,000 was what we paid for having it designed, built, brought over here from Washington State and installed.
So, this is dam over the water, it's just a piece of conversation. When this package, not this, when this blank package was talked about, they didn't give it to the plumbing inspector, they didn't give it to the electrical, they didn't give it to, and
You
let
know
them
what?
put- weigh in on it?
But it
permitted.
was.
It was.
Well, it wasn't formally permitted because we didn't need to, because it was considered a temporary structure. So
So why don't we go
at
that
the
route?
time, because we've connected it to the water line now. They've now what these structures are built for are really
Beaches.
to be in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
You have a rain barrel collecting the rainwater, you have solar panels running the electricity. It's really not meant to be connected to permanent structures. When this project started, this is actually the 4th year of it. When this started, Steve Merrill went around to all the necessary parties, talked to the health agent about the septic, talked to the building inspector, talked to the water. He went through every channel, got approvals from everybody.
Right.
Then people here changed. I came in, we started the process. Now we have a new building inspector. We have different people on different boards. And now it's like, hey, wait a minute. I mean, you heard some of the conversation before. The Board of Health didn't want to approve it. And I had an official sign-off from the health agent, but the Board of Health didn't want to approve it because they felt they should have been more involved. So it's been a very long, drawn-out process that we finally got it delivered, and now we have like this other hiccup.
That people don't like government.
Put some wheels on it and then it's not permanent.
Well,
Yeah, put a
So
rain
we
bucket
are
out there,
trying.
some solar
okay.
panels.
We are
So
trying to
have
get
a
these
commitment.
things done.
Mike, it sounds like Mike will work. I
Yep.
mean, and I'm saying, if it doesn't work out with Mike, I say this board should find, if it's a couple $1,000 or whatever it is, I think we should do something if we could, whatever we can do to help.
Right, but you can't, so that's the problem. If we can't find a revenue source like CPA, it would require town meeting to free up free cash, because we don't have an account, we just don't have an account for things like this that we can appropriate.
What's your definition,
Yourself out.
what's your
We take
definition
it
of
out of the
several
building
thousand?
department.
I don't know, I was told it could be anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000, depending on what,
Denise, we'll
we're
have
going through the
We'll have the
list.
building department pay for it. How about that?
Like you were saying,
So-
that it would take a
And then
couple weeks to
next
get-
time they'll read the plans.
So I will put together a list. I have the plumbing list that Sam wrote up today, what he thought were the highlights. But then I saw an email from Steve saying, we need to get the electrical list, so I don't know
We
what that
want
entails.
highlights, we want
Well, no,
everything that
those were
needs
the
to be
things that-
done.
yeah,
That
he
way we
gave
can
me.
go to Mike and say, Mike, we
Well, the
need
electrical probably
4,500.
means we have to get the electrical to the heat, electric heater.
It's possible.
So there's some money
It's
there,
possible.
so.
So
Put
I will
everything
get,
yourself.
I will
Right,
get
or an on-demand one.
estimates, and then I will forward that to you all and to Mike, and see what we can do to
Maybe
get
it's
that
better
done.
that they do an on-demand heating service rather than a tank.
I'm sure they'll do whatever the best, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, they look at those,
tankless.
yeah.
GBL has a tiny little tank, instant hot water all the time.
At my office, I have an electric heater underneath it's under the vanity. It's as you need hot water. It's got like a 1 gallon tank or something. It's not meant to take a shower.
So we are actively working on this, and
Okay.
I will get you information, and I
For
will
a couple
forward it
$100
to Mike.
you can get an electric inline heater for a sink. Cheap.
Couple batteries and a gun wrapper.
Okay,
Yeah.
are we ready to go?
So we don't really have a project
Yeah,
manager.
so I
in
mean,
any-
No.
I
that's one of
guess
the problems.
we gotta come back and try to
But
find
some
some
people are
money.
looking at
Right, well, I
Mike,
think
right,
they're
we
gonna,
need a
Mike's
town
planning on
plan.
having a meeting.
Mark it up.
No.
I'll go.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything under old business?
No old
And-
business.
No, oh, yeah, I'm
Mike?
good, I'm good.
Old
Got new
business, you
stuff
good?
though.
No, I'm good.
Okay, so, under old business, I'm gonna ask that the board, mentioned it earlier tonight, Denise, where and when can we get this land advertised? It was past the town meeting, so if we can get on that. I know, please, whatever you can do,
In your free time.
I know. But you know that's a goal.
I know it is.
Okay. And, okay, does anyone, have you heard, or anyone heard how the elderly, council on aging, et cetera, with the land, have you heard any more? Have they done anything with that? Is it moving forward at all?
So they meet, they've been having some meetings and talking about, the last time I checked in with them, I think they were talking about either doing some outreach to find out what kind of need there was in the community, and just to try and gather some facts on their end. Lynn, the Council on Aging Director, had been going around to other senior centers to see what they look like, the square footage, trying to get an idea of what we really need here. So they are working, and they are meeting and putting together some plans. They have a subcommittee that's sort of focused on this.
Okay. So they're still working, they're
Yep.
moving forward with that
They're
project?
actively
Okay.
working on it, yep.
Okay,
While we're on council on
Yep.
aging, can I just add something?
sure.
I've had a couple complaints that the council on aging meetings aren't on the cable channel. Is there any way we can get those televised?
Yeah, I can check with Charlie. Usually they meet in the mornings. So as long as he's available, I don't see why they can't be televised.
And I know from looking at their newsletter, they do meet, the board of directors meets at the police station. And why can't they meet in the fire department, meeting room where they have access to the cable TV? It's wired at the fire station for cable, but it's not wired over here for the local access channel. Not at the, police department.
Yeah,
It seems
I-
like they'd meet over there, then they could put it on the.
Yeah, and I don't know why, they've met there for years. They started meeting here in the back room a few times. I actually don't know why they meet in the police station, but I can certainly bring that up to them.
I'm gonna go back one step. When that bathroom was appropriated, what was the amount of money that was appropriated?
68,000?
Oh, so there's no money left over there?
No,
really?
there is no, because actually CPA has already subsidized like $1,000 or so that was left over when we got the bids in. And Mike was gracious to say that they would subsidize that cost, because there was nothing left.
Truthfully, Bill, it started about 42 to 45 in capital 4 years ago, and it's just skyrocketed to what it is today.
No, I just,
This is where you need a good, solid project manager to watch over these things and make sure they stay on time and on budget.
I agree. Okay, and that's, again, that's not criticizing the volunteers at all.
It's
Not-
not
by no
criticizing
means.
anybody.
No, not at all. It's just that it is what it is. Okay, so moving on, anyone else having into old business, are we good with that?
Good.
Okay, so we have correspondence, the minutes from the April 19th, 2016 meeting. We have the minutes from the special meeting, April 19th, 2016. We have the executive session minutes from April 19th, 2016. We have a letter from Michael Ingram regarding the Havel Memorial Parade. We have an email from Joe Demore regarding the Selectmen's reorganization.
Just a question on that.
Sure.
On the question on the invite to the Memorial Day Parade, any correspondence from the Groveland Veterans Organization? Generally, on the Thursday before Memorial Day, so they have an exercise out here. Anything on that yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so we should have that by the next meeting, perhaps.
Yeah, I would assume Dave usually reaches out and forwards that, but I haven't gotten anything
All
from
right,
him.
I'll get a hold of him. and,
Okay. Yeah, because he hasn't, usually he contacts us to organize it and make sure that date's all set, but I haven't heard from anybody. And if I may, Bill, just jump in for a moment. So there was one other item under the correspondence that I inadvertently left out of the list, but I just wanted to call your attention to it, and it does affect Bill, so I just wanted to make sure you were all aware of it. In that correspondence was an invoice from William Dunn Landscaping for work that was done at Washington Park with the landscaping. Just in case anyone has questioned it, because he is a selectman, we did solicit quotes. We had 3 prices, and Bill did make a donation as far as his work was done. So I just wanted to call your attention to it, to let you know we did obtain quotes. Bill was the lowest bidder. But just in case anyone questions it with any of you, I just wanted you to be aware. And so you do have a copy of that, and do see that he made a large donation on behalf of his company towards the project.
I think we ought to thank Bill for the donation.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Thanks, Bill.
Yep, and the reason that, one of the reasons that I ran for Selectman was to see that project get done. And it, like I said before, it was dear to my heart, and the Bagnell School project will be dear to my heart. So those are the kind of things I wanna see Groveland get done and get taken care of, for our kids to be able to go out and play ball and have a good time. And I go down there and I see all the mothers down there in the jungle gym with their kids, and it just makes you feel good. And-
There's a lot of use down there.
Yeah, there
especially
sure
in these
is.
Baseball
Yep,
games.
there sure
I'll
is.
go even beyond that. The last 3 or 4 towns that we've hosted have not been able to stop commenting on how beautiful the parks look, how great the field conditions are, and they want to know, how do we do it? And basically, I pointed to everybody in town. It's a, you know, a community thing. It takes a village, and this time it really did. So anybody involved in that should be really proud of themselves, because we're just getting accolades from all over the district.
Right. And when you have other towns coming into your town, you wanna have projects like that. You wanna be able to have a good facility, and, you know, I know before someone on the past board said, well, you know, we really should have like North Andover Fields. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, we're not in that tax bracket, but we're gonna be damn close to it if we keep going the route we're going, and we're gonna be damn close. We're gonna have some proud things to go back and look at. And like I said earlier tonight, that I'm really big on the infrastructure improvements, and that's where I'm going. I'm going with, like I said, parks, playgrounds, affordable housing, that kind of stuff, that you can come into Groveland and really be proud of what we have. So, again, that was a well-worth project, and I'm glad to see it done. Anyone else?
Nope.
Okay, so now we go to Denise's finance show. Directors.
Easy for you to say.
I can't even talk, it's been one of those days.
I just have a few quick items. So obviously, the town election was yesterday. We still have several vacancies on boards and committees. I cannot urge people enough, especially the Board of Health. We are down to 1 member. They cannot meet because we do not have a quorum. A few people had expressed interest a while ago. I've reached out to them. I reached out to a few people who had some write-ins to see if they wrote themselves in and were actually interested, but no one seems to be. It all seemed to be a surprise to them that they were write-ins. So if anyone is interested in serving on the Board of Health, it is an elected position, but now that we've gone an election and it's not filled, the Board of Selectmen may make an appointment. We need 2 people on that. The Planning Board is still short members. Again, that is an elected position. But now that Jim Freer ran, but there was another vacancy, so we need more people on planning. And then obviously our appointed boards. We are still in desperate need. The Finance Board, we need members. There are plenty of vacancies around town, so if anyone is interested in serving, please let me know. You can go on our website, you can check off, there's a committee vacancy, you can check off that you're interested, or you can send me an email, and I can forward it to this board for approval. And then the only other thing I have is just, I mentioned it a little bit ago, I will not be at your next meeting. I'm on vacation the 16th to the 20th. So I will get you everything that you need for your meeting. I've spoken to Cassandra. She will be here to fill in that night. You have a few issues, like I said, the public hearing, I'll leave you some guidelines on what's required for that poll hearing. But during that week, if you need anything, Cassandra can cover it, or you're always welcome to get in touch with me, but I will be out of state on vacation. So that's all I have for you.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to what you had said a minute ago, was the boards and committees. I know a long time ago, that the cemetery didn't have people, and the selectmen actually asked me if they got a hold of me and said, would you be willing to go up if we can appoint you? Because they needed someone, so they appointed me. I said, sure, I'll go up there, I'm in the business, et cetera. So, can we actually appoint to a lot of boards if people come before us? So,
You can appoint to everything right now that has a vacancy,
Okay.
even those that are elected,
Right.
because people did not fill in the
So-
spot. So it is all available for you to appoint. For elected, you would only be able to appoint until the next election.
right, exactly.
But you can still, so you can reach out to people if you know people that might be good candidates. If anyone approaches you, you have now full appointing power on everything, any
Right.
vacancy.
So, I'm hoping that maybe some people in town, if we use the right PR on this, that they're gonna realize the board can appoint them. And I was actually in the health department today talking to one of the health ladies and what have you, and I was saying that, if people come forward, what she was saying, we don't want you guys appointing, basically, and not letting them know. I mean, obviously, if someone comes before us, we'll let the people on the board know and let them have their background and what have you, and then if it all works out, we'll appoint.
Right, well, I think some concerns with boards and committees, and specifically the health, I mean, I don't know, maybe water and sewer, maybe assessors, that they are quite specific. And obviously, to put someone on the Board of Health, you would like to have some knowledge of health-related topics. And I think that, would really be their concern, is that, it's great that people want to serve, but if they have no understanding or no past idea of health-related topics, then it might not be the best appointment. And that's only a few, really, that I can think of that are really so specialized, that really deal with a lot of laws and would need to have that kind of knowledge. But other than that, if someone's willing to serve and willing to learn,
But now those
we
are,
welcome them,
that's an elected position?
yes.
So, I mean, you really don't have to have any qualifications. If you're elected, it becomes a popularity contest,
That is
right?
correct, yep,
Kind of like similar to the road commission that
yep.
he was talking about
That's not
earlier.
true. I'm not popular.
That's true.
I thought it was
That's
all.
beside the point.
I thought it was all qualifications.
What we're talking about now is we'd like to see an RN, but frankly, if you want to run and you're popular, you could be a circus trainer,
My wife's an iron.
right?
Does she want to be on the Board of Health?
I'll ask her. What does it pay?
Well, it's Bonnie too. Maybe she'll
No,
like it.
maybe,
Why don't we just
they
appoint
do
her?
get a small stipend, actually. Board of Health members do get a small stipend, but, no, you're exactly right.
Conflict of interest after,
I think
you
that's
know,
part of the
abstain
problem
from
with some of the positions in this town that are elected and not appointed. You're not gonna really get somebody that you feel is extremely qualified because it's not in your control.
Right. But that all,
Someone that is extremely qualified, like an RN, is not gonna have time or the desire to wanna do something.
Maybe not.
but that also might be why we can't retain people on some boards, is that they get in there and it ends up being more than they expected because they don't understand. So we've had a lot of resignations on boards and committees, and for many different reasons, but, as long as someone has an interest and is willing to put some time and effort in to learn, then that's great.
Right. Well, and again, what happens too is you get social media today, and a lot of people don't want to get involved because people that are on boards and committees get beat up and talked about and what have you, and they don't want to be in that forefront. My stomach's just starting to unwind from the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
From the town meeting.
You know, and I
Town meeting
I
to a
have one
meeting.
more
Why
hurdle.
don't all those complainers join some boards and do something?
Exactly, that was gonna be my point. You can either. you
Two
can
in the
either be-
afternoon, they're
complain
on
and be part of the
Facebook
problem,
and they're bashing us. I mean,
or
don't they
you
have
can
jobs?
Roll up your sleeves and dive in head first and be part of the solution.
Right, right,
The
You
equivalent
know,
untruth.
yeah, right, right.
you
Okay,
want change, get involved.
right.
It's easier to stand behind your computer and
They're
ask
armchair
people to get
quarterbacks.
involved. Yeah.
I agree, totally agree.
Okay,
Easiest thing in the world.
so that was it.
Do it one at a
That's all I
time.
have, yep.
Finance director's time?
Yep.
Okay, so we move to selectmen's time, and Bill, what selectmen's time is any new ideas that you get, or anything you wanna bring before the board, this is the time to bring it forward, and, anything, any kind of agenda items you wanna talk about, or what have you, this is what we use this time for. Does anyone have anything under selectmen's time? Go ahead.
The Pines, another recreational facility. There's a lot of advertising down at Washington Park. I'd like to see some advertising down at the Pines, you know?
Is he only advertising the scoreboard for Trinity? Did
I
Trinity
don't
go
know
with
how
that?
that works out, but,
Yeah, that's still,
you know,
good question.
if we could, you know, get
The
some
answer's no.
sponsors down there for the girls softball field and the lacrosse field and the Babe Ruth field.
Yeah, well, technically, we are not supposed to solicit sponsors. We don't have a revolving account, so we can't just sell ad
The
space
team,
for general
the-
fund.
whatever teams are down there,
Yeah,
would-
Can't
Put
we
it
sell
in
the
the
bank,
Pines Fund.
can't we sell it to like TD Bank or something, to be TD Bank Pines Field?
Yeah, get like
So what are
$100
the- what are
grand
the
for that or
Trinity
something.
bond markers
Yeah, that was
there?
my idea, wasn't it?
I just want to finish this question.
Okay.
So we can, yes, we can have a sponsor
Put it in
provide
the
a
ro-
payment.
Put it in the general fund.
Yes, but the Pines account we talked about before, it's technically not in the right format of an account. It's not a revolving fund, it's sort of a special fund that was supposed to be used for a specific purpose. We really should be establishing a revolving fund, generating fees and revenue by different sources, and then putting that back into the Pines, is really what we need to do.
Why don't we start that process?
I think we should.
And then, you know, whatever we generate for revenue, you just dump it back in there, make it like you know, a self-sustaining endowment, and you don't have to hit the taxpayers for every
Yes,
new sprinkler system, new fertilizer, new mound, new
yes, that's exactly what should be happening.
utility vehicle,
Yep.
new curbing,
Yep.
new lighting. So if we get that, start building it up, I think there's plenty of advertisers out there that would gladly pay a few $100s. And with Groveland hosting, like, Washington Park's a great example. We have out-of-town tournaments going on, I think, hosting the All-Stars.
GBL will be hosting the
So-
ITBL All-Stars this year.
So you bring in other people, they see what we got, it's good advertising for the town, it's good for your real estate values, it's like people don't know we're on the map, they say, wow, this is a pretty nice place you got here, you know, and, people with businesses like that sort of volume and everything, so I think you could generate several $1,000s over there at the Pines, without making it an eyesore,
Right.
you know?
they did it at Washington Park, they have all those signs.
You
Now they
know,
have two fields
Well, there
worth
was
of
some
them.
football fields,
But
out in Gloucester
but
that
to
was
get
named
it
after a
back
bank,
into
isn't
our
it?
general fund, and then, yeah, you can add it all up, right? Turn the 10 key on, right? Add it all up,
Well,
and then we could put that on a budget line item next year and get the right account going, the right format, the right structure. But if we can get some advertising in there, is that possible? I mean,
And
would the
again-
would the board support that?
I would.
Yeah.
But
'Cause
again,
I've spoken with a few people at, you know, down at Washington Park, and they say, oh, yeah, I can make a few phone calls, I can get this, and this, we could do that.
I will
But
say.
they don't think that we can.
Yes, but, I mean, not that I want to,
You would-
I don't want to criticize Washington Park, but technically they're selling advertisement for town of Groveland property. So that's kind of it's the same thing with Shanahan. They have signs on their fields, but it's our fields.
Well,
So that's where we kind of get into
They're
this
also
issue with.
offsetting the cost to the
But-
town by doing the work
They are, but
do.
it still should be like something formal where they're requesting to use the fence space so that they can rent it out for advertising.
Yeah, but that's,
Per the.
I'd agree if the town paid for the fence. But the new fence out there, I know GBL paid for it. But I'll be willing to take the check to pay for that new fence that we put up last year, and, you know, we can make some deals later, but, you know, it's not
Denise,
fair that some, you know, youth organizations put in literally tens of thousands of dollars of their own money, and then the town is looking for a little nickels and dimes there.
No, I'm not,
No,
but
no,
it's,
no,
but
no,
it's
no.
legal versus,
No, in terms of
it's still, when you're building something on town property, it becomes town property. You know, you can't put a fence in and then say, we're gonna take our, you're putting it in and installing it on town property. So at some point, you should have had permission from the town to use the property to put a fence.
Which they did.
And right, but it is still town property, and that's the problem, is, you know, we're getting into these issues with fields that people are, you know, and I'm not saying you're not maintaining them, you're not putting a lot of money in, but there's still a process that we should figure out, because, If everyone starts taking over and saying, well, I'm gonna maintain this and I'm gonna sell ad space, you know, it's still town property that's being used without any sort of proper protocol.
We could control that with a permit. Let's just say that,
Exactly.
say the permit to use Washington Park was for $1.
And gives them permission to do X, Y,
all it
and Z.
takes is a
And then
dollar.
by an agreement, they
All
just
it
put it
takes
in
is a
writing,
dollar.
and-
End that story.
and they're doing it anyways.
Yep.
Nobody
End
makes
that
a
story with
dollar
a
down
dollar.
there. Nobody's on, 1 cent for payroll down there, am I
Right.
correct?
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, even the snack shack, is that paid or
No,
not?
I don't think so. Is it? It's voluntary, right?
So,
Snack shack?
Just the kids.
Right.
so all we'd have to do in the permit is put stipulations in there that they agree that whatever advertising has to go back into the facility, which they're doing anyways, and I think that would satisfy the audit comment.
Correct, exactly.
Because it was an audit issue on a management advisory letter, that it was non-compliant because it was kind of a handshake, loosey-goosey thing. And again, you know, it keeps everybody on the straight and narrow compliance. They're doing it anyways. It's not the town taking control over Washington Park or taking it away from GBL. You know, I'm for GBL, you know? And I like it the way it is, fantastic. I wouldn't want to rock that boat in any way there. But, you know, in terms of compliance with statutes, it probably should be the Board of Selectmen vote on issuing a permit and with the stipulations, and then, and that makes it legal.
Right.
With the Pines, I think, because there isn't any advertising down there, it's a blank canvas. If
Right, well,
we-
and the Pines is fully under the Board of Selectmen's control.
Right, so we should get that money either back to a revolving account or at least get it to the general fund. And if we could get advertising now, I mean, is the board open, receptive to that?
Okay, good. Now, you're on the Pines. Let me just see.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I was
Let me
going,
try and carry this through.
yeah.
Okay.
But again, it's a comparison to what is at Washington
Right.
Park, and I want to deviate from that
I-
because,
And I'm with you, watch this. So, we have Washington Park. Unbelievable, under control, good committee. We have the Pines. Nothing but criticism, nothing but arguing and fighting and what have you. I said months ago, we need a committee like the Washington Park to run that facility, to get a committee together, to overlook it, and to take care of what Dan's talking about, finance, and to possibly get that committee to say to Trinity, give us $30,000 a year, put your sign up there, and we get 30 grand. That's what that project is lacking. It's lacking foresight. It's lacking a committee. And until we get that in place, we're gonna have nothing but fighting, arguing, and problems. And that's what we're lacking.
It lacks
but
ownership,
people have
though.
to have.
Ownership.
Ownership, because
Ownership,
the
100%.
folks at GBL have taken ownership and great pride in Washington Park, and it shows.
Right.
I think what you don't have is ownership at Pines, where somebody is taking control and ownership and has
Yep.
pride in that project.
Right. And what I've been told through this last campaign cycle, what people don't understand is who runs that project. And I think I asked Denise, I said, Denise, and I'm being very forward, I said, Denise, you took ownership of that because the past, and I'm not saying anything bad, the past finance director, that's how he did it. And that's how it was handed over to you. And then Bob Akalian got involved, I should say the road commissioner, sorry not to say Bob. So you guys have kind of been taking care of that project yourself, under your own wings. Nothing wrong with that, 100%. But I'm saying what the problem is, and Bill just said it a minute ago, no one has ownership of it. You two are the only ones that are running this whole thing, trying to hold it all together. And I truly think what has to happen, there should be people that are willing to take it to the next level, and no arguing, no fighting, and
So does
make
that mean we
positive.
gotta
Well,
restate
because the
that committee?
difference is, with the Pines, you
Yep.
know, I get, so we pay the utilities, we pay, I,
Yep.
out of the town's money, we pay
Yep.
the utilities, the porta potty.
Yep.
The lights, all those things. And then I get requests that, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what we need down there. $5,400 for this, $4,500 for that. I pay to have the seating done, the lines done,
Right.
the fertilizing. But other than that, it's just when people come in and then it's, you know, how much money are we gonna spend on these fields and is it the right thing to do?
Right.
But I don't have that knowledge.
Right.
That's
And-
not
and-
my
and- in
forte
all
is
defense to
fields.
you-
I just don't
In all
know that.
defense to you, and in defense to you, we're lacking the right people in the right place down there. That's the problem. And I'm not criticizing our road commissioner at all. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that project, like Bill just said, needs ownership. It needs a group of people to say, this is our park, we're gonna invest in it, we're gonna put money into it, we're gonna work with the selectmen and Denise, and we're gonna get this thing taken care of. There's too much finger pointing and what have you. And I'm not saying, for whatever reasons it is, we need it start today. the election is here, we need to move forward and get this thing taken care of. And make it the state-of-the-art place that it should be, and Mike sits here, we probably should go for some more CPA money, and whatever. Let's get the project done, let's be proud of it, and let's make it look like Washington Park.
Do you think that we should reinstate the Pines Committee to
I
enforce
do,
that?
I said it since I've been a selectman, 2 years ago, we gotta
Or
get a
some kind of
committee.
to
A
take
committee,
ownership.
we gotta get a
Either
committee.
that or we have the town planner, and there's a big fight about town planner.
Right, go ahead, Bill.
I think the biggest difference between Washington Park and the Pines is Washington is a single-use park for the most
Exactly.
part.
Yeah, exactly.
Run.
Same thing with Shanahan, it's dedicated to
Exactly.
soccer.
Right.
But where you have the Pines, you've got
Yep.
youth
So
football
many
there
different
now.
people.
You've got softball, you've got
Lacrosse.
lacrosse.
Yep.
You've got
Baseball.
Babe Ruth
Pentucket.
baseball. You've got the high
Yep.
school baseball.
Yep,
You
I
know, if
agree
we're
with you.
drawing lines for the high school teams to pay with the amount of money the schools are charging us, I think we ought to get some back.
So, if you go over to Newbury, I've said this before, you go over to Newbury, there's fields in Newbury that the CPA paid for. It's a town-owned project. It has many, many people using that. It has baseball, it has soccer, it has lacrosse. They all use it. There's one committee that runs it. This past 2 years ago, they put in a beautiful snack shack, place. I mean, it's state-of-the-art. If you say Newbury, they're known for that complex. It's unbelievable. And there's no reason this project should not be that way. And I think we can get it. I think we're lacking, like Bill said, we're lacking ownership. Someone needs to take that ownership. And I don't believe it should be you. I mean, you do what you do. You're a finance director. You're doing what you can do. You put your piece into it. And listen, I agree. I thank you. But I don't think, and I've been saying it, and I see what goes on down there, and I see this past election, there's no need of it. We need to sit down as a bunch of grown-ups and say, it's time to get this project on the right track. And I think I would head up the committee if they wanted me to, because I'm very passionate about it, but, you know, it doesn't ever seem to go anywhere. I don't know why, but, so, that's what my piece on that. Dan's looking at me like I said something wrong. Go ahead.
Why don't we get a committee going and all user groups have one member,
Right, good idea.
okay? And a member of the Board of Selectmen, so you get girls softball down there, they get a member.
Okay.
You get Babe Ruth, they get a member.
Right.
You get somebody that is a boater and cares about the boat ramp, because there is some
Yep.
contention between softball and boating. I like boating, we're a town on the Merrimack River, it'd be a sin not to have access to that waterway. I mean, I think it's kinda ludicrous not to have a boat ramp in a town on the mighty Merrimack,
More
you
work
know?
for Denise.
But
More
anyway.
work for Denise.
You need more work, right?
Are you adding work to me? Isn't he forming a committee over there?
It's into you, the highway department, we give all the work in town to.
No, I don't wanna create another paid
No, I'm with you.
bureaucracy.
I'm with
I
you.
don't wanna expand
No,
government.
no.
But the people that should be interested in the use of that facility now, they're the
Okay.
rec groups.
So can we do this?
If they want a place at the table, we'll form a committee and they get a place at the table.
Right.
And they can hammer out their grievances and they can come up with some sort of cost-sharing arrangement down there, because I think it ought to be self-sustaining. I don't
It
think.
should.
You know, the taxpayers pay for the infrastructure. And then after that, I want to take the training wheels off and push them off and just say, you're on your own now. Go get your advertising, figure it out, user fees,
Yep.
figure out how to throw money in there so that you don't have to keep going back to the taxpayer well saying, we need another thing. And we can do that
Can we
if it's set up properly.
Can we get Cassandra, not you, you got enough to go on, can we
Cassandra's got a
get
lot to do.
Cassandra to send a letter off to all the ball fields committees, whoever's down there using it, the boat people, et cetera, asking them, would anyone, part of their committee, be willing to join and make a committee? You think that-
Individual groups. that's
Individual
forming
groups, ask
to
one
two
person.
members
One,
per-
I think it
per-
should be one. I think
Yeah,
if you
per
start,
group. If you got
because it's
5
gonna be
different-
huge.
you have
One
5 different
rep from
groups.
each group.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I
That
can
would
do
be a
that. I have
start.
all the contacts. I can do
Well,
that.
you have enough on your plate.
I know,
and-
but
and
by
you
the
got
time I
bidding
give
to
her
do.
all the information, I might as well just send it out myself.
Okay.
So I have all the
You're
information.
going
I
on
can do that.
vacation.
Yeah. You're gonna get that approved, right? Your vacation?
Bill signed it. Months ago, Bill signed it.
They'll have to figure out sharing and scheduling.
She's here every day at 6 o'clock in the morning, and she's here usually till 6.
I'm out running. I see her
I know,
drive by.
I call her every day at 7.
Before
As a
7.
suggestion, maybe the
Before 7.
dock master that we're gonna look for applications for somebody to be a dock master representing the boat ramps.
Yeah, definitely. He'd be part of the committee. I would think that that's what we need to do, and I think that would be a good start. I mean, we have passionate people on the girls softball, we have passionate people on the football. I think this is a good start. I think we need to get a letter out to them. I think we gotta ask one person for each, contact you, contact me, whatever you wanna talk about the board, and I think we need to get this in place. I think this place is in disarray. I'm not saying that anyone's fault. The fault is, Bill stated it, there's no ownership.
It's too
That's it.
fragmented.
Right, it's too fragmented, and it's time we need to move forward. Then once we get this committee together, now we talk about signs, now we talk about user fees. I mean, we really should get user fees. I mean, it's costing the town money, and if people are coming in there, we should get user fees. Not, don't rob the people, don't rape them, but get enough to cover our expenses. And I think that's where we should head with it.
Do you want me to include Pentucket?
Definitely,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, because they're gonna need to have say in it, so.
Okay.
You may not get anyone, but whatever.
Hey, listen, we're getting charged to use our own elementary school
Exactly.
over there for janitor fees.
With the shovel
That's
the
why I
roofs.
didn't know if we should include them, or we should form a committee and tell them what our plan is, but that's fine.
They wanna use it, I mean, quid pro quo, I mean, come on, guys, you know, we're getting bills for the Bagnell Elementary School, you know, for,
And-
3-hour minimums and stuff, you know?
And you
I mean,
know, you could turn that,
Depending on
that
the group,
committee
you
could
know?
turn that place into once a year or twice a year, even having a concert, or doing something that would generate some money, revenue.
Like
I mean, it's a
Woodstock.
beautiful facility. Once it's done, it's gonna be a beautiful facility. What's that?
we could host like
Woodstock.
concerts,
Oh.
like Juice Newton or something.
Juice Newton. You just aged yourself for like 40 years.
Clean, you know,
We'll get Prince for you.
get somebody on the, like,
Resurrect him.
the B list, you know?
First name that came to your mind, Juice Newton?
Random thought, man.
I don't know why Joe
We know
left.
where he came
Black
from.
Sabbath is touring this summer, let's get Ozzy.
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay, so we're good with that. And hopefully we can hear back from you before vacation or after vacation.
Yeah, no, I'll send it out.
Okay.
I mean, you guys are still gonna have to form a charge for the committee. You'll have to figure out how many members you want. You have to
Let's
put
get a list of
together
them first.
a charge for it before you can actually form a committee. But yep, I'll get you some information.
Okay, so we're all good on the selectmen's time? Have I beat that up enough?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. I know you gotta get home.
It's been a long.
Okay, so on the selectmen's time? Anyone got anything?
So we just did it.
That was it. Dan
See,
brought
I'm
it
way
up.
behind. All right, I'm not done. You haven't got to me
Open the
yet.
door.
I haven't even started. Sorry. Get Mike a cup of coffee. Okay, so, real quick, Chesterton is having their open house, which everybody knows. I don't know if Bill
Yeah.
was brought up to speed on it. It's this coming,
Thursday.
Ed, help me,
It's Thursday.
this
It's gonna be
Thursday?
Thursday, 11 o'clock to 2:30. They're looking for you to arrive 15 minutes early. Ceremony begins promptly at 11 a.m.
Yes, but I will just caution,
I'll bring you
No.
up to speed.
but I will caution, it's not a public event, so it's not, we can't just invite the public to that. It was by
no, I'm
invitational.
just
So
talking-
we can include you as a selectman, but I just don't want people to think they can just show up there on
Free lunch.
Thursday
Well,
morning.
I was trying to get to
No,
this.
I know, I just want to make it clear, though, it's
So-
not a public.
All right, so what happened is Chesterton made Groveland their global headquarter. They put a huge $25 million, don't quote me the exact number, addition on. They're having the ribbon cutting this coming Thursday. They asked the selectmen to come, not the public, but the selectmen to come and celebrate for the ribbon cutting. And that was, Ed gave you the times, so you're welcome to come, and just trying to bring you up to speed on that.
Was that time and place?
11 to
11
2.
a.m.
11 o'clock to 2:30. Arrive 15 minutes early. Ceremony begins promptly at 11.
Oh, I'll be there.
So they made a huge commitment in the town, and
Did you RSVP, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I know I RSVP'd for the rest of the board. So I just,
Yeah, I got a special invitation, I think, you know?
do you want me to RSVP for you? Do you want to attend? Are you able to attend?
I'll have to get back to you. I'm not sure right now.
I'll be there, you know?
So the state, the
Says
state.
you can't make it in America anymore. You can make it in Groveland, Massachusetts, you know? You don't need to go to China.
The state's Director of Economic Development plans to speak. The Northeast Director of Economic Development will be there. This is a big event, moving the global headquarters here, so there will be quite a
they told me I have to wear
ceremony.
proper attire.
Bill will be speaking at the event.
Tuxedo?
Michelin and Dunlop.
No.
I'll just
dress-
wear my backwards baseball cap and
Business
I'll-
attire is required, or requested, it said.
Okay,
Oh, Bill, you're not gonna be able to wear open-toed
No, I'll
shoes.
lend you,
No,
I'll
not
lend
at
you
all.
a suit.
Today.
all right, so that takes care of Chesterton, and I'll do one more, and then we're gonna let you guys go home. So, I would like to, in the future, talk about possibly, because we've had roughly 93 EMS calls a month here, and it's getting to the point where, as you heard the fire chief come in last time, the calls are up. I would like to try and get an ambulance closer to town. I'm not talking about the fire department ambulance, I'm talking about getting the ambulance that we currently have, which is usually stationed over in Haverhill, and it's usually over in their headquarters on Hale Street, and I've heard a lot of calls come in where they need a certain truck or a certain either ALS or BLS truck, and I think it's come to the time where we need to take a look at, I'm not saying definite, take a look at possibly having a truck stationed in one of our departments, or working on something where we get a truck closer to town. I've heard some calls, we have this, they've had a call in Amesbury for backup and what have you, for whatever reasons, their truck was busy, they didn't have the ALS truck available. I just think that it's a fire issue, it's not, we'll talk with the fire department, but I think it's getting close to the time that we need to get this truck closer to town for us. So I know we just went $750,000 to buy a ladder truck. I think it's time that we can get a few bucks to keep an ambulance closer to town for our EMS calls. And we can take that up at a later date. And the last thing I'm gonna have, and Mike's sitting here and Dan's over to my right, I would like to talk about the use of Center Street property again and see if Dan would possibly, with Mike, work on that again at a later date.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
We've been trying to figure that out. That's, yeah.
okay.
Climbing Mount Everest. That's, might be a solvable problem. I think the issue on that, and we can talk about it later more, but, I think we need to, get, one of our reps in the legislature to sponsor special legislation so that we could use, CPA funds to pay for that bond. You know, I mean, if it's, the initial intent was for, safeguarding the aquifer. I mean, it seems like a conservation purpose to begin with. It was kind of a cart before the horse type of thing, or it wasn't, I don't know if it was well thought out, or maybe it was the intended purpose was a new fire station or a new school, but it wasn't articulated to me. But, if it was intended for, open space and recreation, it should have used CPA funds to finance it. It didn't happen. So, under the current state law, and we've got interpretations on it, and I've looked for the, loophole, and I can't seem to find a loophole.
But we can use it for recreation, right?
Yeah, but the issue is, we paid CPA levies, and then we're paying for that, it's a debt exclusion, just like the truck. So, not for nothing, there's still over $1 million in there.
So-
Million six or more, and plus current year contributions, so, it'd be nice if we could put a dent in that, save the taxpayers several $1 million. I mean, like real money, big stuff. We spend most of our time talking about how we're gonna get 60 grand for a bathroom, or $2,000 for a hot water heater to wash your hands, in hot water, with the hot water, but, so, there's real money there. And I don't know if Senator Bruce Tarr, I don't know if he's listening out there, but if he's listening, if he could sponsor a home rule petition similar to we did to create this board and expand from 3 to 5. It didn't seem like a heavy lift, it was just a communication factor. But I would be in favor of that, but I certainly wouldn't go off on my own little, tangent here without the Board of Selectmen's approval on that. But if this board could maybe take a look at that and maybe consider approving some special legislation, use some of CPA funds to pay for that. And again, it'd have to be coupled with approval to use, or we had talked about maybe sectioning it off, and we talked about maybe forming a committee to get more involved in what to do with that property. And again, it's public hearings, it's public property, and there should be some hearings on what to do with it. And you might get 50 experts and 50 answers on that, so it might be a quagmire as to what to do with it,
So,
But the financing part of it, to me, seems like a no-brainer. That would lower tax bills in town if we could pull that off. I mean, your tax bill for once in your lifetime, it might be a nanosecond, would actually go down if we could restructure that debt service. But in order to do that, we would need some special legislature. That's the impasse I believe we're at, Mike. I don't know if you want to correct me or chime in on anything I got to say, but, you know, if we were pulling in the same direction on it and we said, okay, and we had talked about, you know, maybe sectioning it off a portion, this would be commercial, industrial use property, it's zoned industrial, we get something back on the tax rolls. You know, if somebody was gonna invest like a Chesterton, you know, maybe they wanna buy, you know, if they were to buy, you know, 10 acres over there and build a, you know, $5 million building or a $20 million building, then that's tax revenue, and it doesn't have a school bus in front of it, as some people, you know, would like to, you know, advocate, you know, that doesn't burden the infrastructure. So, again, we need people to come together, explore options on that property. Because
So-
for me to go off in a direction and say, yeah, all right, let's restructure that debt without any end game on what we're gonna use it for,
Right.
you know, I don't have the right to
So why
do
don't we-
that. I don't, you know, I can't act alone, I don't want to.
Why don't we turn around, if you guys agree to do this, why don't we turn around and try and get a committee together again for that?
But I'm more than happy to approach our legislators.
Oh, you could work on that, that'd be appreciative.
And see
But
if they would entertain that, I see why not.
I don't see why we wouldn't, but I'm saying
They
also.
stand up there and say
But-
they
yep.
saved the town of Groveland $3.6 million.
Right, I agree, and if you wanna do that, I
Good
tip
little
my hat to you.
photo op for
But in
them,
the
you know?
interim, for the use of the land, maybe we should put that committee together that, they wanna talk about the use of land and get some ideas from a committee together, I think that wouldn't be a bad thing either.
You know,
I don't know, what do you guys think?
they have a tough time filling committees, so it's again
Right
another
now,
committee.
Angelini still is taking land, and he's still running it through Strawberry Fields, so there's still,
That's gonna go on for
Somewhat.
5 years.
you still have 4 more years to go. So you still have some restrictions for the next 4 years on what you can do there.
Yeah, but
So you can
this
start
is
a
the-
committee now, but you really can't do
Well,
anything.
we could tell him, I mean, there's options to move his
Different access
his
paths.
different access right out of there. He doesn't have to go right down the middle. But even if we did anything, it's probably gonna take us, the way government works, a couple of years to get this thing going anyway.
This
I
is
mean,
a-
it's gonna take some time just to get a committee to think about some good ideas and what we're gonna do with it and what have you.
Then another committee to find the money.
Yeah, exactly. And then raise the money for
Another
another 2
meeting.
years.
That's
So
another
this-
committee.
Right, right.
Have a meeting about the meeting.
We could have, instead of having a permanent committee, I wanted to work with Dana, we might have like a forum or something where people could come and give their ideas, and we could kind of collect some ideas, present what we've already thought
Do a
about.
brainstorming session, you know?
Yeah, right.
Open mic night here at Town Hall, you know, I'd be up for that.
Yeah.
You know, oh,
Like a little kid, get him in here to raise
so
money.
I've heard some people say it'd be nice to have a, you know,
Kickstarter.
drive-in theater down there. I mean, there's a lot of people that have different ideas on that property.
Right.
And I'm willing to listen to whatever the ideas
And,
are,
I mean, I would say that's a good idea, and we'll press forward with it. I think,
you know.
just like the hot water tank, sooner than later. You know?
Actually a great spot for a drive-in movie theater down there. Give every kid in town a summer job doing concessions.
Well, that's gonna put more
$10
traffic
a
down that
car
road.
or
We don't want
something like
that.
that, you
We
know?
can't even
Did
agree
you go
to
through a
50.
time warp before you came here today? First,
Juice Newton.
Juice Newton and now drive-in movies?
70s, you know?
You're still stuck there right
Didn't
there.
we spend an hour talking about 50 permits
Gold,
and people
you know.
dumping stuff down there? Now you
Solid
wanna put a
gold, you
movie
know?
down there?
Did you watch Lawrence Welk when you grew up?
My mother made me, but I don't have an 8-track player in my car anymore.
We had one television set, and that was, you know, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom and that.
Saturday mornings.
And right before Daniel Boone and Walt Disney. I hear you, I was there. But those days aren't here anymore.
You know,
All right, well,
I'll get rid of the 8-track.
we'll work on that, and if
78 albums, I still got some vinyl ones.
we can talk about it at a later date, but I think that would be a well worth thing to get going again,
There you go.
all right? So I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn
Second.
at 9:31 PM.
You got a second already.
Seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, all right, all set.
Shut off the TV.
Just I need you guys to sign before you can leave it. We don't have signatures.
And what?
The warrants.
I gotta make sure I don't sign one.
You just don't wanna sign the last one. So, Bill, so I email out